Na, baby. So, hi mga kaps. Mga kakulot.
And
sorry.
please raise your right hand.
Ahem.
Resource persons and
Magandang
witnesses,
umaga mga
do you
kakulot.
swear
It's
to tell the truth,
10.
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in
10:15
this
ng
Senate
umaga.
inquiry proceedings?
At nandito tayo ngayon
Senator, they have
para
all
panoorin ito
answered
dahil
in the affirmative.
nagkaroon
That's
po
all.
ng
Thank you.
bagyo dito sa amin sa Albay. Hindi ako nakapag-live kasi po brand out. So nag-upload ako mga 2 videos, 3 videos ata yun. Pero ngayon okay na po kami dito. Maulan pa rin pero sa area namin medyo okay na. Pero ibang mga lugar po talagang nasira. Nasira po yung ibang mga lugar eh. Pero mag-pray na lang po tayo sa mga kasama namin dito sa sa Bicol po. Maraming may kailangan ng tulong, maraming mga nasira eh. So ito, panoorin po natin ito, reaction na rin diretso. Maraming salamat at okay naman po kami dito, may kuryente na. 2 araw wala eh. Uy! Thank you mga kulot. Share, like, and subscribe. Ito po.
As an officer of the court, as a lawyer, kung ano po ang layunin at kahalagahan ng pagdinig na ito. Ang Senado ay, unang-una, ang Senado ay hindi isang hukuman. At hindi po tayo naririto upang magpasya kung ang isang tao ay nagkasala o walang sala. Sa ilalim ng saligang batas ng Pilipinas, lalong-lalo na sa Article 6, Section 21, binigyan tayo ng kapangyarihan. Tinutukoy ko po ang mga mambabatas na magsagawa ng mga investigasyon in aid of legislation o bilang tulong sa paggawa ng mga batas. Sa hukuman, ang pangunahing layunin ay ang paglutas ng mga kaso at pag-alam kung may pananagutan o wala ang mga akusado. Batay sa ebidensyang ipinapakita sa Senado, ang ating layunin ay iba. Ito ay upang mag-imbestiga at mangalap ng mga impormasyon at dokumento para sa isang makatarungan at makabuluhang pagbalangkas ng mga batas. Sa isang husgado, meron pong tinatawag na right cross-examine witnesses. Maliwanag po sa Rules of Court, ang Bill of Rights, at iba pa. Ngunit nais ko pong ipabatid na ang karapatang mag-cross-examine ng mga testigo, isang mahalagang bahagi ng mga pagdinig ng korte, ay hindi saklaw ng investigasyong ito. Ang proseso ng cross-examination at iba pang pamamaraan na ginagamit ng korte ay eksklusibo sa hudikatura. But we recognize, this committee, again as an officer of the court, recognizes the primacy of the judiciary insofar as this issue is concerned. One, because the committee requested the Regional Trial Court of Pasig to allow the detainees to attend today's hearing. It is an acknowledgement of the court's jurisdiction over the accused. Number two, the committee, before it moved and conducted a hearing today, showed respect to the court by acknowledging the court's jurisdiction and not conducting a hearing without the prior court approval. And number two, and I would want to make a motion here before I continue my opening statement, Madam Chair, this committee should likewise be furnished a copy of any opposition filed to form part of the records of these proceedings of the counsel of those accused present here. I request, Madam Chair, that we be provided copies of any opposition filed by the group of Pastor Quiboloy and all other accused in the Pasig case, if that would merit the consideration of this committee, Madam Chair.
So ruled, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam
Offset,
Chair. That
please.
would form part of the records of this case, Madam Chair. And again, I reiterate
Big,
what
good
I've
morning,
been
Big.
saying
Good morning.
here. Ang atin pong ginagawa ay hindi po para maghusga ng innocence or guilt ng mga akusado sa isang kaso. Subalit, nais po rin nating bigyan diin na napakaraming desisyon ng Korte Suprema simula pa lang nung Arnold versus Nazareno 1950 na binigyan diin ng Korte Suprema ang kapangyarihan ng Senado na mag-imbita at magpatawag ng mga saksi, resource persons para linawin ang paggawa ng batas. At kaya po tayo merong pagdinig ngayon. Subalit, nais ko pong hilingin sa lahat na during these proceedings, we show utmost respect and consideration to all persons here present, whether accuser or accused. Ang Senado po should remain as a bastion of dignity. Hindi po tayo narito para magtapon ng kung ano-anong dumi sa bawat isa, kung hindi para ipakita na ang paggawa ng batas ay ating pinapahalagahan at pinapahalagahan din natin ang karapatan ng mga naririto. Sa hukuman, meron silang, ulitin ko, meron silang karapatan na magsalita ang abogado. Dito po,
Shoutout po
ay
sa
hindi.
nanonood live at replay.
Let me ask the committee and all my colleagues here, whether present physically or virtually, to assure all of those listening that under our rules, all resource persons will be treated with respect and afforded fair treatment. And that this institution, as I've said, will always pride itself in upholding the principles of fairness and transparency. However, if there are legal matters against you, it must be addressed in the proper judicial forum, not here. In summary, while we have the authority to compel testimony in aid of legislation, any allegations or charges will have to be resolved in the court of law. And I'm now referring to the Regional Trial Court of Pasig. Madam Chair, let us always be reminded that we have a constitution. We have a living constitution, and that the constitution should stand as our unwavering shield, protecting the rights of all, whether accused or accuser, in ensuring that justice is served without discrimination and with fairness and equality. Sana po sa pagdinig na ito, makagawa tayo ng nararapat na pagbabago sa batas, and I'm referring to the Human Trafficking Act, the elements of which we cannot change because we're bound, Secretary Manalo is here, by the Palermo Convention. Perhaps the penalties could be increased, but just the same, this hearing is required of us as part of the complexities of governance that would require us to listen to various voices, even those embroiled in legal challenges and scrutiny. Again, Madam Chair, it is crucial that we uphold the integrity of our legislative process by respecting all resource persons present and upholding due process and fairness. Our commitment must be to engage in a meaningful dialogue while adhering to the principles of justice and respect for individual rights. Our role is to seek the truth. To seek the truth. Mapagandan ho natin yung batas, marami nakikinig ngayon, and not to pass judgment. Madam Chair, thank you for giving me the privilege to have an opening statement, and again, let that serve as a continuing manifestation as to the role of this committee in the coming minutes and in the coming hours as we proceed. I now yield the floor. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga sa inyo lahat.
Maraming salamat din po, Majority Leader. At dagdag dun sa areas of legislation na tinukoy ng Majority Leader, inuulit ko lang yung bahagi ng opening statement ko rin kanina tungkol sa ating mga batas kaugnay ng pag-misuse.
Ate, dito sa amin okay naman, pero sa ibang lugar po, grabe, wala pang kurente sa ibang lugar at maraming mga nasira. Dito sa amin okay lang.
Sexual agency at
Nagkakuryente
religious
pa lang.
freedom at yung mga
Gabi.
labor laws din natin. Kung saklaw yung mga karapatan at kagalingan ng mga tinatawag na religious volunteers. So muli, salamat po sa Majority Leader. And at this point, lastly, bago natin pakinggan yung ating mga victim survivors, may request po sa ating good Foreign Affairs Secretary Manalo dahil kinakailangan nilang umalis ng mas maaga na makapagbigay ng ilang mga salita sa atin. Secretary Manalo, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Maraming salamat, Honorable Chairperson Senator Risa Ontiveros, Honorable Senator Francis Tolentino, my colleagues in government, good morning. I just want to thank Senator Ontiveros and this committee for giving the Department of Foreign Affairs the opportunity to contribute to our meeting today in aid of legislation. Nais ko lang briefing lang on 2 points, with your permission. The first point is on the possible extradition issue. And as you know, the Philippines has an extradition treaty with the United States of America. I wish to report that as of this date, the Department of Foreign Affairs has not received a formal extradition request from the United States. Doon po sa isang issue din, I want to focus on the request for assistance by any Filipino nationals in the United States who may have been victims of human trafficking in relation to this case. As of this date, none of our foreign service posts in the United States have reported receiving any request for assistance. Madam Chair, the DFA is ready to assist in providing any information that we may receive from this date relevant to the to today's legislative inquiry. And I'm also being joined today by Undersecretary Jose Domingo, who can add any input if needed for this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Manalo. Yes, would you, Sec Domingo, like to briefly add anything to these 2 updates on the formal request for extradition and the request for assistance?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Tolentino. Yes, as Secretary Manalo has mentioned, that we have not yet received a formal request, but we are standing by. Also, we have also not received any request with regard to trafficking, with assistance with respect to the human trafficking. But all our foreign service posts and all our offices in the Department of Foreign Affairs stand ready. And we have been in informal consultation and communications with our sister agencies in government. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you also, Yusek Domingo. The Majority Leader would like
Just
to
one
interject.
quick follow-up question, address either the Secretary Manalo or Yusek Domingo. I have here in my possession in front of me our extradition treaty signed November 13, 1994, which I believe should be read alongside Presidential Decree 1069. This has some legal complexities involved, and perhaps you might want to educate this committee, which would have primacy just in case an extradition request is sent to the DFA. What would happen to the pending cases lodged before the Regional Trial Court of Pasig pursuant to PD 1069?
Thank you very much,
Secretary
Senator.
Manalo.
Yeah. If I could first give a very general answer, and then of course on any specifics that might arise in the event that we receive a formal extradition request. Just to say, if we do receive a formal request, we will, DFA will of course study it and see if it is consistent with the agreed procedure pertaining to extradition. And here's where PD 1069 would also come in. So we would have to study that.
So much to learn about, it'll make you want to shout, Whippy!
And then after, if we are satisfied with the request, we will of course refer it to the Department of Justice for relevant action. So in other words, we will still have to study any extradition request if received. Perhaps later, it's a quite a detailed approach, pero yun ang general approach, if we do receive such a request. Thank you.
One quick follow-up, just to remind the officials of Department of Foreign Affairs as well as councils present here. Anything that would transpire and would come out of these proceedings would, under oath,
Hi, Ate Merlinda, good
would
morning,
be
Ate.
recorded.
Good
And
morning.
pursuant to existing extradition rules, any request to have any transcripts coming out of these proceedings would have to be coursed through the DFA. Kayo po ang magpapadala nito mula sa committee ito papunta kung saan man. So you should be aware of that, and the lawyers here present should be aware of that, because this would trigger some concerns involving civil rights or individual rights. So just be aware of that. And I suggest, Madam Chair, that the DFA should stay here till the conclusion of the investigation proceedings, to be physically present. But that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Assured naman po tayo na bagamat may kailangang mauna ng umalis si Secretary Manalo, that Yusek Domingo will stay on with us. So the department will be well represented. Salamat po, Secretary Manalo, Undersecretary Domingo at Majority Leader. So ngayon po, ang una po nating witness ngayong umaga ay si Teresita Valdehuesa, ang di umanong miyembro ng unang batch ng pastoral ni Apollo Quiboloy. Bago po siya magsimula, I would like everyone to listen to this video, to watch this video. Si Ms. Teresita, Ms. Ging, ang pinapatungkulan dito, but it will also give a sense of the threats that victim survivors face from within the kingdom. Open source po itong video na ito. In fact, galing sa public channel ni Pastor dati. So, i-play na po natin ngayon.
Shoutout po sa inyo lahat, Nakakurinti pa lang talaga kagabi.
She contacted someone named Teresita Valdehuesa, who was a former worker here in the kingdom, who committed lapses of fornication with many ministers and men. That is why she was supposed to be disciplined, but she went out. This Alina Ostapchenko is saying things against me, and we were able to record every bit of what she said. Listen to her voice. Everything that you have said to Teresita Valdehuesa, who's a former worker here, who also backslid because of some lapses in immorality, will give you a sample of her voice that was recorded. Go.
I'm fine, dear. I remember you, Bayo. And I'm so glad that I'm already out of the kingdom. And it's a miracle that how I exit from there. Because the time, kasi I was so fanatic before. But when, time passed, I realized many things I can also share with you if you like.
Sige ate,
Asked
sige ate.
me if I'm ready to dedicate my life. I said yes, because for me, I was thinking dedicate to God. So I never think about other stuff. And suddenly he was on me already, and he was trying to pull my pants already off. And then things started to happen, and I understand that, oh my goodness, it's like I have to switch off my mind. I will not question, I will not ask if it's Father's will in my mind. That time I will just not try not to feel anything like that. And because I was shocked by what's happening in the room.
You have to prove that in court, because this is an international ministry and I have an international reputation. You will be sued by the kingdom in all places that you've called. We will not let this pass. Teresita Valdehuesa will be part of this. So better get your lawyers and defend yourself. We have lawyers all over the world. wherever there is a kingdom. We have a general counsel in the name of Attorney Michael Green. In America, we have 18 lawyers who are observing all the happenings in the kingdom. We have financial consultants. We have
Manakot
lawyers
ka pa,
who will
Quiboloy.
defend the kingdom wherever it is
Puro
being
kasi kayabangan
attacked.
yan tuloy.
For the record po, yung pastoral na binanggit dito, si Ms. Alina, she gave her consent also to the playing of this video in this hearing. So, Ms. Teresita, meron po kayong testimonyang hinanda. Pwede nyo na pong basahin. You have the floor.
Good morning po, Madam Chair, Honorable Senator Risa Hontiveros, and to Honorable Senator Francisco Tolentino, and to all the members of this august body. I come here today to share the truth that has been silenced for 3 decades because of great fear, and this is also on behalf of the many victims who have suffered in silence just like I have. I believe my testimony reflects their pain, struggles, and resilience. While I understand that this is aimed to aid in legislation, I am also grateful to be given this opportunity to inform those who still believe that Apollo Quiboloy has been innocent of the crimes he is accused of because he has never been. At the age of 17, I became a member of the church led by this man, Apollo Quiboloy, in 1918. I was a freshman student. I was eager and active in the community, even spending a significant portion of my college years living at the parsonage where he resided. In 1988, I made a difficult decision of my life to dedicate this to his ministry, driven by the belief that true fulfillment and salvation lay in serving God fully. This choice meant leaving behind my family, my career, and the person I once was. Despite the resistance of family and friends, I pursued my conviction. I joined a pioneering group that struggled to meet basic needs, but my desire to serve God fueled my persistence. Over time, I gained his trust and became a respected worker within the ministry. As the ministry grew, so did our blessings. We experienced answered prayers and expanding membership, which deepened our commitment to serving God. Apollo C. Quiboloy, whom I revered, was considered as God anointed, and his words held absolute authority. I respected him deeply, viewing him as truly the man of God. From the moment I dedicated my life to the ministry until 1993, I experienced a profound spiritual awakenings. I felt forgiven. My love for God deepened. And I was proud to serve alongside a man I believed to be holy. But one day while in Manila, I received a long-distance call from him. He informed me that he had received a divine revelation intended for me and instructed me to travel to Cebu, where he would share this important message. He was also scheduled to preach in Cebu that Sunday. Upon arriving in Cebu City, we arranged for him to stay at the Park Place Hotel in Fuente Osmeña. That evening, he instructed me to remain in the hotel, while Nilda Linda, the assigned worker, returned to the worker's house. When we were alone, I asked if I could just sleep on the sofa as it was a suite room. Instead, he insisted that I would sleep beside him and even said in Bisaya, compatible gyud taging kay parehas man og color ang atong suot. Translated, we are compatible because our outfits were of the same colors. I was wearing red pajamas with white dots, while he was dressed in a red t-shirt and white pants coincidentally. His words made me feel uneasy and quite nervous, and I saw a different personality in him, but I was quick to dismiss that unusual feeling. And because I had previously witnessed Ingrid Canada or ICC Teresita Dandan, TTD, and Velina Salinas slept in his room alternately, it led me to believe that it was just normal and harmless. Moreover, we had been conditioned to suppress any negative thoughts about him. We were warned that any suspicion on him would reflect our own personality, using the words found in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15, I quote, "To the pure, all things are pure. But to those who are corrupted and do not believe, nothing is pure. In fact, both their minds and consciences are corrupted," unquote. And in those days, absolute obedience was a must. We needed to have an unquestioned loyalty and reverence toward him. Sleeping beside a man I believed to be chosen by God was for me then a great privilege, an opportunity for a sinner like me. But what followed shattered my sense of faith and trust. Without a word, after turning off the light, he embraced me, undressed me, and violated me with his lustful act, and left me in shock and speechless. He then said, "This is the fulfillment of God's revelation." He explained that God had revealed to him that I was to partake in God's life through him by surrendering my body, soul, and spirit. He also mentioned that other girls would go through him in a similar manner. His words were strange, but I was too shocked to respond. The following day after the Sunday worship service, Apollo C. Quiboloy left for Manila, while I was left to carry on with my duties, including organizing carolers for our annual fundraising. Confusion consumed me. I felt betrayed by my faith, by him, and even perhaps by myself. I began questioning whether what had happened was indeed God's will or simply a gross abuse of power. When I returned to Manila, I was once again instructed to sleep in his room. Fear gripped me, but defying the anointing of God was unthinkable. We had been taught that such disobedience would invite a curse. The next morning, he asked if I understood God's revelation. I remained silent, unable to process what had happened. He then referenced me to Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 to 12, explaining that just as Jesus humbled himself and obeyed God, even to the point of death, so he too must obey God's will by partaking in carnal things. He claimed this was necessary for him to understand the human experience and to fully empathize with others. He even told me that he had also been reluctant to accept God's revelation, but as God had chosen one, he had no choice but to act on it. I was more confused with his explanation, but I could not complain. I wanted to go out from the ministry, but I lacked courage. I did not know where to ask help. I had cut all the bridges behind my life, and I could hardly go back because it would mean starting all over again. My family was poor, and I had no connections. My option was to stay because I was still bothered with what if it was indeed God's will. December of the same year was an escape for me. Caroling as one of our sources of funds, and which had been participated in by every member of the ministry all over the country, became my excuse of staying away from the worker's house in Manila where he stayed. In January 1994, I was in his room with Ingrid Canada, the international coordinator of the church, Tessie Dandan, the national administrator for the church in the Philippines, and Felina Salinas, his personal assistant. During that,
Miss Teresita, before you continue po, yung nabanggit nyo ng 2 beses, Ingrid Canada, nandito po ba siya sa harapan ninyo?
yes, patabi po siya ni Mr. Quiboloy.
Sila po, yung nagtaas ng kamay. All right, salamat po. Please proceed, Miss Teresita.
During that meeting, he informed the girls that I would be included in the inner circle. Right there and then, I realized that these women had likely endured similar experiences. Without any words, we shared a mutual understanding. None of us dared speak about what had happened to us. In February 1994, I was sent to Hong Kong, still carrying all the confusions and emotional turmoil. Despite this, I continued to pretend that everything was fine. When one of our musicians, JC Pangilinan, was scheduled to return to the Philippines, I seized the opportunity to send a personal letter to ACQ. In that letter, I poured out my feelings, openly expressing my emotional distress. I was honest about how deeply shocked I was to learn of his life beyond the pulpit. The man I had revered as a holy figure was in reality an ordinary mortal, one who had exploited my genuine commitment and dedication to God. My faith wavered, and everything I had once believed was shattered. I prepared myself for a harsh response, expecting a violent reaction from him. To my surprise, there was none. Instead, I was sent back here. Upon my return, I was even more surprised to learn that I had been promoted. I was appointed National Crusade Coordinator, National Logistics Coordinator, and Luzon Area Administrator all at once. This was a sudden and significant promotion from my previous role. By God's grace, I excelled in all my assigned tasks. Despite this, fear gripped me every time Apollo Quiboloy would come to Manila. My only relief was when one of the girls would accompany him, giving me an excuse not to sleep with him. I kept myself busy, visiting satellite churches to distract my confusion and agony. One day, ICC confronted me saying, ACQ sensed my distance. I made my work an excuse. February 15, 1998, ACQ used me again. It was always out of fear that I obeyed, a fear mixed with anxiety that he might knew how I pretended to be extremely grateful that he allowed me to be a part of his physical life, because in all honesty, and God truly knew I was not. All the pent-up emotions suffocated me, that on the following day, while preparing for church, I collapsed. ACQ performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but later I learned he told others that it was just a way for me to seduce him, labeling me as Jezebel the temptress. I believe Apollo Carrion Quiboloy understood that I never wanted the life he was trying to impose on me. My decision to dedicate my life to God's service was driven by a sincere desire for spiritual purification from the sins I had committed before becoming a full-time worker. I had only one goal: to live a holy life and ultimately to attain heaven. As the Bible says in Colossians chapter 3, verse 5, I quote, put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, but how could I achieve this with the circumstances that I was in? Disobedience and complaints were never an option. Anyone who did so was labeled as carnal, as someone who did not overcome the flesh. Everything was always twisted. One day, I said, Sir has noticed that you've been distant. I made up excuses, trying to avoid the truth. I had been telling Tracy Dan that I was extremely exhausted. She presumed that I was just too focused of my responsibilities, especially in the logistics department. I was always pressured to meet my 15 million quota. Every December on caroling season, if ever the sense that there was really something wrong with my belief, I was instructed to prepare my documents for my USA visa, and I believe realization came later when I already left from his group, that it was also to distance me from the workers and members here, that I might be able to tell his dark secret. I never wanted to go to America because inside of me were unresolved spiritual issues, confused mind that bothered me always. But my visa was approved. I then knew that I was to lead and plan for the fundraising to be done in America, and we would employ the same strategy of our money making here in the country. In America, I witnessed the double standard life. What we prohibited in the Philippines, we did them there. We lived in luxury. We toured around. We dined in fine and expensive restaurants. We watched movies. Sky's the limit when they went shopping. I decided to stay in the apartment where the minister and his family lived. Despite the insistence of ICC to stay with them, I refused. I made a lot of excuses. Sapagkat, hindi ko po natin na kaming nasa Amerika ay masyadong nagpakasasa sa paggasta sa pera na masyadong pinaghirapan ng mga kapatiran at ng mga full-time workers. Bilang namuno po sa crusades, evangelism at logistics departments, saksi po ako kung paano nagsakripisyo ang bawat isa para lang makapagbigay sa iba't ibang pangangailangan sa simbahan. Nakita ko na kahit pambili ng bigas ng membro, kailangan sakripisyo pa para lang maibigay sa simbahan kahit gugutumin pa ang mga pamilya. Nasaksihan ko po na kahit last centavo para pamasahe, kailangang ibigay pa rin. Bahala ng maglakad papuntang simbahan ang mga mahihirap na membro. Hindi kinaya ng aking konsensya ang double standard life. Maraming workers ang napalo dahil sa panunood na ng sine, pero kami sa Amerika, halos linggo-linggo nanood ng sine, bawal sa amin ito dati. Naghirap ang maraming workers at members sa pagkaruling at pagsulisit sa bawat tao sa lahat ng dako dito sa ating bansa. May namatay, may na-aksidente, may nakulong, may mga na-rape pa na hindi na na-report. Dahil baka hindi paniwalaan at baka makapag-fasting pa dahil may kasalanan na itinago, kaya napahintulutan nangyari. Lahat may kota, di ba? Napakasakit po sa damdamin ko dahil ako po ang namuno sa mga fundraisings. After the season, ang mga members kailangan magtinda ng mga kakanin para may bigay sa mga pledges for Alay kay Kristo, building funds, love offerings, television pledges, tithes, and others. And when they could not provide for their own foods, they would just resort to fasting. Meron din pa akong quota, 10 to 15 million pesos to raise in the month of December alone. I organized the carolers nationwide to meet my quota. We recruited and trafficked our young people from Mindanao and Visayas to carol in the provinces of Luzon and in the national capital region cities. Marami pong estudyante na Nobyembre pa lang kailangan nang mag-absent sa paralan at ang iba hindi na nakabalik sa pag-aaral dahil inuna ang simbahan, inuna ang pagkaroling, inuna ang paghanap ng pera. But nobody questioned where our income was spent. Sa mga buwan ng Pebrero hanggang Oktubre, ang ibang workers na nasa logistics department, kailangan mag-solicit na naman throughout the country using the permits of the different associations. Pag-asa ng buhay, Children's Joy Foundation, tulong sa may kapansanan, handog ng pagmamahal, pagdamay sa dukha, Shivers for Christ. The supposed income na dapat ibigay sa mga beneficiaries, sa mga nasabing associations, hindi naman talaga truthfully and honestly na ibigay. Only a little portion of the income was shared to the beneficiaries. Ang ibang workers naman, walang hinto sa pagtinda rin ng mga kakanin na may quota of 500 to 1,000 pesos a day, Monday to Saturday. Ito ang buhay ng mga workers na nasa logistics department. In America, they began to notice my indifference. ICC called my attention, stating there were reports from my assistant in the logistics department in Manila that I had secretly sent money to my family. Then, she informed me that ministers wrote letters to ACQ and reported that I tempted and fornicated with them during my visits to their satellite churches. I was so shocked to learn of the sudden accusations. I also wrote a letter and enumerated the real circumstances of my life with all the ministers I came in contact with in relation to our aggressive fundraising, being the National Logistics Coordinator. However, that was not enough. I was then forced to write a long letter of confession, making it appear that I was a sinner who committed all kinds of sins, including those I had committed before joining the ministry. I complied, believing that through this written confession, I would be totally forgiven from my old sins and burdens and be completely sanctified. In detail, I wrote everything I thought was considered sin I had committed from childhood until the present. I also implicated ACQ in my sins. It had the same tenor of the letter I wrote in Hong Kong in 1994. And this time, he was furious. Then ICC instructed me to revise my letter. I was told not to implicate ACQ and to state that I was the sole sinner and I was filthy. Upon realizing how angry ACQ was, I revised my letter out of fear and stated that I had sinned because I truly was filthy. In detail, I imagined sins.
Ms. Teresita, yung paulit-ulit yung binabanggit na ICC, sino po yun?
Ingrid Chavez Canada.
Sila pa rin po. All right. Please proceed.
In detail, I imagined sins and I made it appear that I had committed them all. That was how stupid I was to obey and exaggerate my story. Just to appease the anger of our leader, Apollo C. Quiboloy, not knowing it would become my death sentence later. My exaggerated story was then distributed to all his leaders and ministers, and they believed I was filthy, I was pervert, and I was wicked, painting me as the sole guilty party, while ACQ remained innocent. Little did I know this confession would lead to my condemnation within the ministry.
And Ms. Teresita, pag sinasabi nyo ACQ, sino po yun?
Apollo Carion Quiboloy po,
Alright.
October 15, 1998. I was sent back here to receive a punishment through prayer and fasting in the guise of spiritual discipline. And the fasting they planned for me was beyond my imagination. It took me 7 months to suffer hunger and isolation in the mountain of Tamayong in Kalinan, Davao City. They placed me in a small, dark, elevated room beside a kitchen, separated only by a mat and walls. My bed was rough, made of uneven slabs, with exposed nails pressing into my back as I slept. I woke up this morning in pain, with no beddings, and the cold October nights left me shivering. I requested a blanket and a mat, but I was denied. Every day from 8 to 5 p.m., I followed a strict routine, regardless of the weather, enduring hunger and isolation. No one allowed near me, as I was labeled filthy and deserving of this punishment. Members were forbidden to speak to me. I was physically very weak and so depressed. I prayed that God would just take my life. Ilang beses po ako nanalangin na sana kunin na ako ng Panginoon. I started to question God and wondered if this was truly a divine process or simply human punishment. I asked myself, is this ACQ's way of retaliating because I rejected the life he imposed on me? It felt like vengeance and disguised as spiritual discipline. My only solace came from reading the Word of God from Genesis to Revelation over and over again. Every day was a struggle of faith. I struggled to believe that the process was still the perfect will of God for me.
So much to learn about, it'll make you wanna shout, Whippy!
I struggled to believe that I really was a sinner and that I was recuperating from my spiritual disease for the lack of faith. That was to justify my present pains and to at least lighten my burden of loneliness. On January 8, 1999, I gave ACQ a resignation letter and I requested for a fare so that I can travel back to my home in my province. He did not approve my resignation letter. I pleaded to Ingrid, and like a child, I cried for help. But she remained untouched, telling me that it was a divine process. After that conversation, misery doubled. I had no money, and I was still physically weak. So there was no way for me to go out from the compound of the prayer mountain. Waiting for the restoration was the only alternative at the moment. If not for the comforting words of God, surely I would be totally gone out of my mind. They continually accused me of sins they alone knew, unimagined, that would always lead me into fasting. It eventually hardened my heart because I started to realize that the purpose of doing it was to totally break me down and to even slowly kill me. I no longer saw the reason to stay. I submitted my resignation as a full-time volunteer worker for the second time. But Apollo Quiboloy refused it again. A week later, on September 30, 1999, I decided to leave without asking for permission, determined to free myself from his control. It was only when I left out of the group that I finally clearly understood that the man I had believed to be God's chosen and holy was an impostor, oppressor, and deceiver. He manipulated me using his authority and power as God's anointed. I thank God that he took me out from his bondage, from that ambiguous feeling of fear mingled with so much love and loyalty to my Redeemer, Jesus Christ. But he was not finished with me and did not stop terrorizing me. Alex Camia, his personal bodyguard, a full-time worker, once known to be a champion in gun shooting before he joined the group of ACQ, together with his team, kept coming to my place to harass me, serving a fake warrant of arrest to a minister who stayed in my house. This minister settled in my place after he was gunned down in Davao City but survived. The team of Alice Camia was apprehended, and when investigated, they had several firearms in the car, several plate numbers, and there was also a red plate. The registered owner of the car was Apollo C. Quiboloy. Because of their failure to serve the warrant of arrest, they blamed me for hiding the minister and filed cases against me of obstructing justice and grave misconduct and an act unbecoming of a public official. After that incident, I heard that Alex Camia was the suspect of the murder of an ex-worker who was shot down inside his home, and this ex-worker did not survive. I was scared to death when I heard this news. My option was to remain silent because killing could have actually happened when Camia and his group came to my place. There was also an ex-worker, Elsa Bolivar, who was a senior citizen, a woman shot dead while she was in her garden in Tagum City. I was so hysterical when pictures of her bullet-ridden body were sent to me because she had just visited me in my place before it happened. Fear consumed me and I remained silent. 3 years ago, nagkausap po kami ni Alex Camia. Humingi po siya ng kapatawaran at nagsabi na siya ay nautusan lang po na kailangan din akong iligpit. Pinaniwala po siya na ako ay may malaking kasalanan at ako ay napakasamang babae. Nang tinanong ko kung ano ang aking kasalanan, sinabihan daw siya na tinukso ko raw si Apollo Quiboloy Nakiapid daw ako sa mga ministro. Narinig naman po ninyo yung sa video. Nakipagtalik daw ako mismo doon sa workers' house at nagnakaw daw ako ng 3 million pesos. He even said in Bisaya, di ba nagtugot man ang Ginoo pagpatay sa dautan? Doesn't God permit the killing of the wicked? Doon ko lang naintindihan na kailangang i-declare ni Apollo Quiboloy sa lahat ng mga workers at members na ako'y makasalanan at napakasamang babae para magiging makatwiran ang lahat ng parusa na binigay sa akin at magiging makatwiran din kung bakit ako kailangang patayin. Apollo Quiboloy called me Jezebel, the temptress, using his pulpit to broadcast how filthy and evil I was. This became a pattern. Kung may mga workers na may alam sa kaniyang buhay, sa sekretong buhay at aalis sa kanyang kingdom, sila ay akusahan na napakaraming kasalanan. He would always exaggerate their weaknesses at ipaniwala sa mga workers at members na sila ay umalis dahil may mga marumi at mga napakasamang mga tao. His followers only heard his side of the story, which was always filled with lies and twisted truths. The other side, our side, was never heard and was never allowed to be heard. They only believed whatever he fed them and even defended him and attacked those who defied their leader without investigating the truthfulness of the circumstances. Nakita naman po siguro natin kung paano siniraan ng mga workers at defenders ni Apollo Quiboloy ang mga testigo dito. Mga napakasamang descriptions para lang ipahiya ang mga nagsalita ng kanilang mga karanasan sa loob ng kanilang kingdom. Mga salitang hindi nababagay sa mga tinatawag na mga citizen ng kingdom of Jesus Christ. Their intention is only to demoralize and warn others of the consequences of defiance. Last August 2021, during one of his television programs, he once again maligned me, broadcasting nationally and internationally that I was a fornicator and an immoral woman, which we have just watched. Madam Chair, I would like to remind Mr. Quiboloy to remember the biblical stories about the lives of King Nebuchadnezzar, King Sennacherib, and King Herod. All of them fell into the hands of the Lord. Nebuchadnezzar, you know that, was separated from his people and lived like a beast and ate grass for 7 years. King Sennacherib died a tragic death, murdered by his own sons. King Herod was struck by the angel of God, died, and his body was eaten by worms. Their sin was that they replaced God with themselves, considering themselves as gods and blaspheming the one true God. This is all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Salamat po, Ms. Teresita, sa testimonya mo. Kahit kailangan mong iyakan para basahin sa amin. Bago yung isa munang follow-up question ko sa inyo, gusto kong i-acknowledge yung presensya online ni Senator Cynthia Villar. Salamat, Senator Cynthia, sa pagdalo nyo. At ang Minority Leader, Senator Coco Pimentel. Salamat kaayo sa pagdalo. Kung walang opening statement si Senator Coco at si Senator Cynthia, bago yung interjection ni Majority Leader sa Department of Justice, isang mabilis na follow-up question sa ngayon, Ms. Teresita o Ms. Ging, Ate Ging, just for the record, guilty ba kayo dun sa mga krimen na inakusa sa inyo, yung pagnakaw ng 3 million pesos, yung pag-fornicate sa iba pang mga ministro? Guilty ba kayo sa mga iyon?
Of course not.
All right, salamat kaayo. Majority Leader, for your interjection with the
Thank you, Madam
DOJ.
Chair. Nothing to do with the previous testimony. Magpapaalam po kasi ako kasi magsasalita po ako sa Liga ng mga Barangay and the Minority Leader is already here to fill up some legal questions likewise. But Madam
Wait, ang boghag ng hair ko. Sa akin din, may dent. Huwag na lang tayo maglubat.
Chair, before I leave, gusto ko lang tanungin ang, hindi ko kasi nakita kanina, dito pala ang Department of Justice relative to my previous questions answered by the DFA. This is speculative, academic, and purely legal. If, wherever, if an extradition request is lodged before the DFA, there is under the PD, which I cited before, a process which would necessitate the Department of Justice to file a petition. But that is another court. And that is another court which would constitute as the extradition court here in the Philippines. And if there is going to be an extradition hearing, the purpose is not to determine the guilt or innocence of the accused, but whether they would fall under the ambit of our extradition treaty. Is that correct? Who will answer? Attorney Torribillas or Attorney Quintana? Speculative lang ito. Ano lang to?
Senior State Counsel Quintana, I believe, Majority Leader.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Your Honor. As to the as to what will happen on, should the Department of Foreign Affairs later on receive a request for the extradition of Mr. Quiboloy and the present criminal cases are filed against him, the Philippines, as a requested state under the Philippines-US extradition treaty, has the option to postpone the filing of the extradition case. In which case,
Postpone.
only the filing, Your Honor.
But is the extradition court would be constituted here in the Philippines.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not necessarily the court where the hearing is being
Yes,
conducted.
it would be a separate separate proceeding, and as I mentioned, it might be postponed, or we can accept the request and file the case in a separate extradition
It
case.
will not be a criminal court.
No, Your Honor. As you correctly pointed out earlier, the extradition court is not there to determine the guilt or innocence of the subject of the request.
Thank you, attorney. But my second question is related to the first question and to the previous questions. The extradition shall not be granted under Article 4 when the person sought has been tried, convicted, or acquitted. Tama po ba yun? So pag may pending case na rito at mabilis yung proseso, conviction or acquittal, hindi na siya pwedeng i-extradite. Is that correct?
Your Honor, under Article 4, that may be a ground for refusal of the request for extradition, but that in that case, so Your Honor, ang ano po dun parang in effect parang double jeopardy. But in this instance po, there is no double jeopardy kasi po yung
Saying double jeopardy, one of the grounds for refusal would be when there has been a trial, conviction, or acquittal that's explicitly stated under Article 4 prior prosecution. Double jeopardy will not apply because of the concept of dual sovereignty. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, ang tanong ko, mas makakabuti ba na mas mabilis ang trial sa Pasig, which would result in either conviction or acquittal, dahil hindi na pwedeng ma-extradite?
Sir, it's independent of the request for extradition. So regardless if the if the criminal cases are terminated, are expedited, it will not affect the extradition request.
Siguro, aralin niyo mabuti itong Section 1 ng Article 4. Parang very explicit naman ito. You still have time. Number 3 question, I learned that correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you're following this through news accounts, that the Department of Justice of the United States dismissed the charges against a certain Miss Dueñas. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, and this was just a few weeks ago.
Last week, Your Honor.
Last week.
October 7.
So, ang tanong ko rito, and this will probably be a lingering question, what would be the effect of the dismissal of the U.S. cases against, is Dueñas a miss or a male? Ano ba yan?
He.
Female? She? Female.
Female.
What would be the effect of the dismissal of the U.S. cases against Ms. Dueñas to the pending cases of Pastor Quiboloy in the Philippines, since some of the elements would be the same?
Your Honor, if I may defer to Prosecutor Torrevillas.
Torrevillas.
Deputy State Prosecutor Torrevillas, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Senator Tolentino. It will not affect the cases pending against Pastor Quiboloy, considering that Ms. Dueñas is not one of the accused in those cases.
One of the accused in cases pending before the Regional Trial Court here in Pasig, or in the United States Department of Justice? Saan po? Saan jurisdiction?
Before the Regional Trial Court of Pasig and Quezon City, Mr. Senator.
So it won't affect.
Yes.
But there is an interrelationship between the elements involved in the U.S. cases and the Philippine cases. Tama po ba yan? And probably I'm not jumping the gun on what the defense counsels were doing. So walang effect. As I've said, this is just speculative.
It will not affect the cases pending before the Regional Trial Court of Quezon City and the Regional Trial Court of Pasig, because Ms. Dueñas is not one of the accused, neither she one of the witnesses for the prosecution.
But some of the defendants in the case pending before the U.S. Department of Justice are likewise defendants, are accused here in the Philippines. And I understand there would be a second hearing come May 20 before the U.S. Department of Justice. Tama po ba yun?
I am not aware of that.
Okay. So paano naman kung yun ang magkaroon ng ibang desisyon while pending dito sa Pasig and Quezon City yung ibang kaso? Any speculative answer? O kung wala, mahirap na
It
siguro.
has no connection at all because, opo.
Different jurisdictions, different elements. Again, Madam Chair, maraming salamat po sa pagbibigay sa akin ng pagkakataong makapagsalita. I reiterate again my earlier statements that respect and dignity should permeate the entire proceedings today. And I hope that the dignity of the Senate through this committee will be enshrined, Madam Chair. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong ito at maraming salamat sa mga resource persons natin na dumalo. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Dagang salamat.
Maraming salamat din po, Majority Leader, and of course, the Chair and the whole committee ay nakikiisa dun sa patuloy na pagtaguyod ng respeto at dignidad ng Senado at ng Senado para sa lahat ng lumalahok dito sa ating mga pagdinig. So balikan po natin si Ms. Teresita, si Ate Ging, mga patuloy po na follow-up questions ko sa inyong testimonya kanina. So, bate po pa rin po dun sa testimonyang binasa nyo kanina. Anong taon nga po kayo sinimulang abusuhin ayon sa inyong testimony at alaala?
It was in October of 1993.
October of 1993. So, 31 years ago po.
Yes po.
Alright. Tapos ulitin ko lang po yung nabalitaan kong fasting o dry fast. So, hindi kayo pinakain di kayo pinainom ng tubig. Ilang araw nga po ba ginawa ito sa inyo? At wala po bang kasamahan ninyo doon na sinubukang tulungan kayo?
Of course, nobody would ever dare help me because upon instruction na hindi nga ako and they were not even allowed to talk to me, nor even to come near to me. So actually there were two sets of fasting given to me. One set was, there was 10 days fasting. There was no food, no water. It was Ninit Ukyas who gave me the list of instruction, and number one in the list is to do dry fast for straight 10 days.
Sino po nagbigay ng instruction?
Ninit Okyas.
Nenet Okyas.
Yeah.
Okay po.
And then I only was able to eat a little amount of rice and viand on the 39th day because when you had fasted, hindi naman kailangan kakain ka agad. So there was water, then then lugaw, and then finally on the 39th day, that was the time I was able to eat rice. And then after that, there was that second round of fasting, which was even more miserable. It started on February 6, 1999, and there were other workers also. And that was very miserable because it was like this. We were given 5 days or sometimes 7
Shout out
days.
Ate
It was a
Amelize.
kind of a series of fasting. The first, second, third days were for dry fasting, meaning you were not allowed to drink, of course, to eat food, dry foods. And on the fourth, sometimes it's water, sometimes it's sometimes it's lugaw. Then another 5 days, the same pattern. Sometimes it became 7. It ended on the it ended on the month of May because I have my diary on that.
So yung pangalawang dry fasting, 3 buwan na may iba't ibang klaseng fasting for 5 days or 7 days, 1 to 3 days na dry fasting.
Yes.
On the 4th day may tubig o yung yung pinakuluan ng sinaing, di ba? Yung pinapainom ng mga lolo't lola natin sa mga baby nung panahon ng World War II.
Yung sabaw ng ano po.
Sabaw.
lugaw.
Sabaw ng lugaw or lugaw. So over 3 months, may ganitong series ng mga iba't ibang klase ng dry fasting.
Yes po. But I was together with other workers also because they were also punished, but I was the longest. I stayed there for the longest 3 months.
And yung una pong dry fast, yung unang set ng pagpapa-dry fast sa inyo na 10 araw, walang pagkain, walang tubig. 10 araw na walang tubig at 10 araw na walang pagkain?
Yes po, that's true.
Paano niyo po na-survive yun?
I did not even think I would survive
Opo.
because of course the place was cold. And then every time in the morning when I took a bath, so parang doon ko na lang nalalasap yung tubig. Kaya I keep taking a bath 3 times a day.
Iniinom nyo na lang yung
Halos, hindi ko mainom
tubig
kasi
pampaligo.
natatakot ka namang baka masira yung tiyan mo. Parang ganun lang, parang.
And after 39 days, ganun ulit, pinainom muna kayo ng tubig, ng and then pinakain ng lugaw, and finally, kanin.
Yes, on the 39th day. But there was a month, I think it was month of December, may kinain na rin ako doon. Kaya lang, again, maybe they were not satisfied with the result. Maybe they wanted me to really slowly kill me. So again, I had another series of fasting that was, as what I have said, it started on February 6th and ended on the month of May.
During those 2 times po, yung dalawang set ng dry fasting, yung unang 10 araw at yung pangalawang umabot ng 3 buwan, nakakulong kayo noon or were you restrained in any way?
No, I was just there in the mountain, in the prayer mountain, not really kulong, but the place is big naman. So I had to go to the prayer house. I had to pray, I think 3 times a day, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 4 times a day, 4 and then 6 o'clock in the evening.
And kanina sabi nyo dun sa pangalawang set ng dry fasting sa inyo, over 3 months, may ibang workers pa kayong kasama, bagamat hindi sila kasing tagal na pinadry fast tulad ninyo. Bukod dyan sa pagpapadry fast, yung ganyang abuso sa inyo, meron ka bang na-witness na iba pang mga pang-aabuso sa iba pang workers?
Yes po. Actually, there were workers who were placed in a closed tent. Parang Bartolina, ang tawag namin doon Bartolina. They were placed in a closed tent. There were even torches placed around because during the evening they would put fire on the torches, and then they put and peed inside the tent, closed tent. And then, of course, they suffered too much heat in daytime and the colds in the evening. But eventually, they managed to escape one by one. But the only one who survived, she was rescued because she was dehydrated already.
So the only one who survived, na-rescue,
Yeah, it was Lani Alfaro.
dehydrated, si Miss Lani Alfaro. Ano po nangyari dun sa ibang nag-escape dun sa mga tents na yon?
Actually, because there were ministers who were also used as their security guards, they were actually helped by the ministers to just escape.
So may mga minister din naman na naawa sa kanila at
Meron din po.
tinulungan silang makatakas.
Yes po.
Okay. Tapos, Ms. Teresita Atiging, tama po ba na naging subject kayo ng attempted assassination? Ito po ba yung sinabing ginawa ng angel of death?
Of course, I would really think that way because I was just a mere worker, a civilian. And then why would these people come to my place, bring those firearms? They were there. And if it was only to serve the warrant of arrest for my co-ministers, why would they have a backup car? Then I was made to believe that it was really their intention to harass me and to terrorize me in my place.
May dala po silang warrant of arrest? Saan
Yes.
galing po yung warrant na yun?
As I have stated, there was actually one minister who had a problem, no? Then he was gunned down in Davao City. Then I actually helped him settled in my place. And then
Ito po yung
He was-
nag-survive ng assassination attempt.
survived. Then he was served by that warrant of arrest. And then, because he was in my house, I helped him actually.
So nung pumunta yung mga may dalang firearms at may backup vehicle, yung sineserve nilang warrant ay para dun sa nag-survive sa assassination attempt na kinupkup nyo.
Yes po, actually para sa kanya. But I was made to believe that ako rin, pwede rin nila akong patayin. Bakit? Because there was one time, because that Alex Camia was with a policeman. Bakit kailangan nila akong parang i-scale sale nila yung opisina ko? Bakit parang tinitingnan nila kung nasaan ako doon? Kung ang gusto lang talaga, if they really wanted the warrant of arrest to be served with that person, why came to my office? For what? So
Yung Alex Camia ay may kasamang pulis o siya mismo ay pulis o PNP?
No, he was with a policeman, an official policeman during that time. At saka meron din po siyang kasamang siyempre driver. At saka, because I only learned later that there were 2 vehicles actually, but during those times, isa lang ang alam ko. Nung nakausap ko yung backup driver, kasi he is with me now, doon ko lang nalaman na may backup driver, may backup vehicle pala sila.
Ngayon, Ms. Teresita Atiging, pioneering member po kayo ng
Yes.
KOJC. Alam nyo rin po ba yung business model ng fundraising ninyo at paano ito nagsimula? Sinabanggit nyo, naging head kayo ng logistics, kayo po nag-organize ng mga caroling, yung mga solicitation. Paano po yun nagsimula at anong alam niyo dun sa kabuuang business model?
Yes po, the caroling really had become, or maybe has even until now become, one of the sources of funds in the ministry. In 1988, I was able to join here in Manila, and we were only caroling the cities within the cities of the NCR. But when I was given the opportunity to lead the fundraising, I made it nationwide. I actually organized the nationwide caroling, Madam Chair. Then what happened? I had every province. I had leaders overseeing 70 to 100 carolers, including adults who would be cooking and washing their clothes. And in the NCR alone, we had, I think, 13 leaders overseeing 20 to 30 members also, do a caroling from 8 o'clock in the morning to sometimes 10 o'clock in the evening, going around the cities of Manila, just caroling all the people here in the Metro Manila. And then, because I had a quota of, it started with 10 million until it became 15 million. Of course, they also had a quota. I also gave them the quota to meet my total quota of 15 million.
So, sa bawat probinsya, nung ginawa nyo ng nationwide yung caroling, di na lang sa NCR, may isa kayong leader na bawat isa may 17 to 100 carolers. At dito naman sa NCR, kung saan kayo nagsimula, naging 13 leaders na may 20 to 30 members each. So, i-multiply lang po natin. So, sila po yung pinapatawan nyo noon ng quota para mabuo yung 10 to 15 million pesos. Ano po ito? Per day? Per week?
No, that's 1 month of
Per
caroling.
month.
Yep, yes.
Per month. And so 14 hours a day sila pwedeng nagka-carol, nag-fundraise 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yes po.
Ganun po katagal. Alright. Daghang salamat, Ms. Teresita Atiging. Please stay on sa hearing natin dahil yung mga kasama kong senador, mga kauban ko, including our minority leader, may have questions for you. Yes, the minority leader would like to interject now. You have the floor, Senator
Sige.
Coco.
Ma'am Ging, no? So, dito lang ako nababahala sa sinabi mo na dry fasting,
Yes
2
po.
times ang experiences mo. And sa experience mo, it was a form of punishment.
Very much a form of punishment. But it was actually a disguise like a spiritual discipline on me.
Okay,
Because
pero it was presented still as a disciplinary measure.
Yes
Okay.
po.
But have you seen dry fasting as a form of a ritual or not as a form of a punishment? Is it also practiced there?
Actually, there were 2 meanings, no? Of course, when we were instructed to do dry fasting, we would always consider it as our sanctification, as our cleansing on us, because we would always believe that we were always made to believe that we were sinners, and we do accept that we were sinners, so we had to go through fasting.
In the 2 particular, sa mention mo kasi dalawa, ang particular
Yes po.
cases, hindi ko na matandaan yung mga months. Pero in your particular case, punishment.
At first, I did not consider it as punishment.
No, wag you consider. How was it presented to you? You have to undergo dry fasting as a punishment?
Spiritual discipline on the first,
Oh.
talaga spiritual discipline.
Kung andun yung discipline, punishment. Diba? Okay. Yung
Yes.
pangalawa,
Yes po.
yung pangalawa, was it what? A punishment also, yung pangalawa?
Mas lalong punishment on the second round. Maybe
Okay.
because they saw me alive, still kicking. It was not their intention to really see me alive.
Okay.
That's why I had my second series of fasting.
But sa observation mo, tagal ka dyan sa kingdom meron, you also undergo fasting as a part of a ritual, not as a punishment. Tama?
Yes, there were many times.
As severe as dry fasting?
No, mine was actually was the worst.
Yun yung mga fasting na alam natin, yung babawasan
Yes po.
mo lang yung
Yes po.
quantity ng kakainin mo, siguro ganun, ano?
Yes.
Yun ba yung meaning ng, yun yung sa ritual?
Yes,
Okay.
well.
Ngayon sa karanasan mo, ikaw kasi obviously nag-survive ka nung dry fasting mo as punishment eh. Sa personal knowledge mo, meron kayong kasama sa KOJC na nag-suffer ng masamang consequence as a result of dry fasting as a form of punishment?
Wala naman akong
Wala kang
Alam,
alam. Okay,
because I
sige.
left 1993,
1999, you
1999 pa
left
po.
1993? Ah, when did you leave?
1999 pa po.
1999. Ah, sige po. Oh, pero sabi mo, founding member ka, so, pero wala kayong nakita pala. Okay, except sa,
So far, wala.
kasi sana, kung meron, i-encourage natin sila ngayon na magreklamo sila because this might be a violation of the revised penal code. How is it enforced pala? How is it enforced? Sabi mo kasi sa Prayer Mountain, you're free to roam around eh. Pwede kang gumalaw. So, paano kung super gutom ka na? Can you cheat? Can you cheat on the dry fasting punishment?
We were tempted to do that, but because we're so afraid, baka madagdagan pa yung araw pag malaman.
Okay, meron kang kinikwento na although hindi ikaw yung involved, sabi mo lang na may close tent, may mga ganon. Tapos may mga ministro na sila na mismo nagpatakas doon sa mga pinapanish, no? So naawa na rin siguro sila na napaka-severe ng mga punishment. But you did not experience that eh, kaya medyo ano yan. Did you actually witness it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then did the ministers actually tell you na pinatakas namin ito si...
No, I was just told after those incidents when they got connected to me.
So kasi ang lumalabas na issue dito, Madam Chair, is if there is a religious group or an organized group na meron silang system of punishment, baka yung mga severity naman ng mga punishment, baka some of these punishments already cross the line, ano? Na they may amount to already violation of the revised penal code. Sige, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you also, Minority Leader. So, Mr. Resita, Atiging, again, salamat kaayo and please stay on for the rest of our hearing, lalo na kung may ibang mga issues na ma-raise na gusto rin naming itanong sa inyo. At this point po, our next witness is Yulia Tartova, a former pastoral and victim survivor of sexual abuse at the hands of Apollo Quiboloy. She's joining our hearing live from Ukraine. Just to refresh our memory, let's listen to Yulia's video. And after that, she is here to answer any other questions that we might have. So let's just view again Yulia's video at that time as alias Sofia.
I was about 21 years old. It was 2014. And where did you stay? I stay in a dorm, like a building, a separate building. And most of the people there was Ukrainian. Tell me how your relationship with Pastor Quiboloy developed or unfolded. At first, our relationship was very good, very warm, very friendly. I didn't feel everything like, oh, he's like me, no, there's nothing about that. And transfer me in one room. I live with the Jack Roy. She's pastoral and one of the closest, like she's very close to pastor. And I live with her in one room. And little by little, some girls like Jack Roy and other girls of pastorals are Filipino. They used to fellowship to me like, are you ready to sacrifice everything to God, to the Father, like pastor? Of course, I already sacrificed. I leave my job, I leave my school, I leave my friends and my parents. I already sacrificed a lot of, so what do you mean? I cannot understand because I already sacrificed and it's the life that I choose and I live and I believe that this is God's way for me. So, and they were just like, even your body, you can sacrifice. When he see that there is no Ukrainian girls and I'm alone, so he started more and more to talk to me. Are you want to sacrifice? Are you want to sacrifice everything, even your body? I'm very innocent. I really didn't, nobody talked to me like straightly that this is what will happen. And I remember that time came and Atejak came to me in the night and she said, I want you to massage pastor's feet before he sleep. When Atejak called me for night to massage him, I didn't think that this is what will happen. even though I was nervous. And she saw that I'm crying, but I'm still do what they want me to do. I take a bath, I put this pajama and crying. I'm scaring, and it's night, and they put me because I never stay in the pastor alone in the night in the dark, and I was nervous. It was big room, and before room there is a little room. So Atijak lead me there, and she said, "Go in pastor's room," and I just stayed in this little room because I was scary and I was crying, and pastor was waiting for me till he realized that I'm not coming, and he by myself went out and pulled me in his room, and I was like.
Please, double time!
Wait, ang boghag ng hair ko. Sa akin din, may dents. Huwag na lang tayo maglugay. Nailugay mo na. Lugay ko yung tsura mo. Girls, you can let your hair down with Sunsilk para iwas frizz, dents, and tangles. Period! Go girls, B! I-N-B-I-N-I-B! Beautiful as ever. Frizz-free smoothness whenever. Gandang lugay ready together. Pag lagi may Sunsilk, you're a head turner. Hair kada ilugay mo. Para sabayan mo ako. Ilugay mo yung smooth, pero mo nakakagigil. Pag Sunsilk ang gamit mo. In 1, 2, 3, ilugay mo Sunsilk. Lights, camera, ilugay mo. Going all out on a day's out. From the runways to the highways, you've got wrist when you can't feel frizz. Let your head down, you're going to shine. Go on, girl, hair's looking fine. Ilugay! Ilugay mo. Para sabayan mo ako. Ilugay mo smooth, pero mo nakakagigil. Sunset ang gamit mo. Hair kada ilugay mo. Yung style mo sa hair mo. Ang morning may sunset. Gandang lugay ready lahat tayo. In 1, 2, 3, ilugay mo Sunset.
Scary, and he said like massage my feet here, and then little by little, and I was very nervous, and it was dark, and suddenly he started to move my hands to put on his. He said massage here, and I said, oh my god, okay, and I massaged. And after that, little by little, he just turned to me and he removed my clothes, and I even can, because I was very shocked. I was like, I cannot explain because I was nervous. This is what happened. He just removed my clothes and have.
Women below the age of 18 years old, were they also being used?
Yeah, I didn't know about this for how many years till before I left Philippines. I heard from other like. She's very close to Pastor. She grew up with him. She's a senior there, and she's pastoral. And I heard that, oh, you're crying because I was complaining about this pastor's ministry. And she said, oh, you're crying that you're pastoral. At least you're mature, but I become a pastoral in 12 years old. This is time when I was like shocked. The next day when I heard this, that become a pastoral and 12 years old, I started to fight with pastor and ask why, is it normal?
Miss Yulia? Miss Yulia, I think your audio is still muted. Could you please unmute?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Miss Yulia. Thank you for joining us in the hearing.
Thank you.
Can
for
you hear
inviting-
us?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Yulia. Before some of my follow-up questions about your the previous video and also with your presence with us today, could I just quickly ask, in the video you mentioned Jack Roy. Can you confirm if she is here today in the hearing? If she is to the right or to the left of Pastor?
I cannot hear.
You cannot
the
see?
video. Yeah, but she's present there. I saw her.
She's present. Is she to the right or to the left of Pastor?
I don't remember. I have to check.
You cannot see the video of the
Yeah.
here.
She's yeah.
Can you confirm where if Jack Roy is
Right
here?
between Attain Grid and Ipoh.
So is she the one on camera right now with glasses?
Yes, she's the one.
So that's the Jack Roy you mentioned in your previous video.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Miss Yulia. How many Ukrainian pastorals did Quiboloy have when you were there?
It's about 10, I think.
10. All right, including yourself. So 10. You and about nine
Yeah,
others.
about 10. Yeah, not if I will count. Yeah, it's about 10.
About 10. All right. And what do you think would happen if you refuse to have sex with Apollo Quiboloy? What do you think would happen?
Actually, we try to avoid this kind of service, but because when you believe that he is the Son of God, and you will do whatever he wants us to do. And if you afraid, like if you will try to, excuse me, I didn't practice my English for a very long time.
It's all right.
If you will try to deny, they will punish you. And there is a lot of really psychological instrument that they will use on you, that even one day will not be enough to mention everything. They will punish and call us, scold us for a meeting, and put us in shame, that saying that we are ungrateful because pastor give us everything, and you just don't want to give, sacrifice your body like Jesus Christ sacrificed. And of course, they always will use the Bible as an instrument to convince us to do it. And they always, in the same time, they want us to feel, to twist our mind, to feel that this kind of service, it's a very big privilege. So we will be willing to do it with our will. So he will say that there, because nobody can deny that there is a pastoral ministry, even Mr. Quiboloy himself. And everybody knows that only girls and young and beautiful women are included there. And everybody knows, nobody can deny, even the full-time workers, that we all live separate from any others, under the same roof. Our rooms are next to him, so he have free access to every room, to to each room, and nobody can nobody know his life behind the door. That's why there's no full-time workers that know what is happening there. So when you try to, like for example, there was several times that I tried to deny this ministry of sleeping with him, because we have a schedule, like, and he will be the one to put the schedule. Who will be the one tonight? And Jack Roy, in my time, it was her ministry to invite girls to pastor's room, and actually to invite the girls to this ministry, to pull them in his room. And
Miss Julia, you told us something very important. You said that nobody can deny that there was such a thing as a pastoral ministry. You told us that twice. And you said that if you refused to give those kinds of service, that sexual service, as you tried to do several times, that you would be punished, including
Yeah,
through psychological instruments. Yes, you
yeah,
said they
yeah.
they could try to twist your mind. Uh, what kind of psychological punishments and what other kinds of punishments did they impose on you if you tried to deny this kind of sexual service?
Like as I said, there was a schedule, and there was one time I tried to deny because uh, one day he said that I will change my rule, so I will not be the one to call you. Who will be the one tonight to uh, present yourself to me? But I want you to be voluntarily to come to the judge and to put yourself in the list. And me and some other Ukrainian girls whom I know, we like said like we never go and put our names in the schedule. And then because he said, Mr. Quiboloy said that I want to see those who are really doing that willingly and who is not. And me and some other girls have a separate room on pastoral ministry. And after he waited 1 week, 2 weeks, or about 1 month, I don't remember exactly, but there is such a time that nobody from us asked to do this ministry. And then he started to come by himself. Like, for example, he had the key of each room, and just in the middle of the night, he come to my room and have sex with me. Then and you cannot run away. You cannot say I don't want, because if you say I don't want, he said you didn't overcome your flesh, and if you will not obey, you will go to hell, like things like that. And other night I like we have all dinner together, and I feel that by the way he look at me, I understand that this night he might come. So I didn't sleep in my room. I go in other room, and in the middle of the night, he was looking for me, and he find me in girls in the room. The girls live all together. So because in my mind, I thought that he will not come if we are many, but he come and he said, "You have 5 minutes to come back in your room. And if you will not come, you will have a problem in the morning." So different kind of instrument they used. I know there is, like, for example, other girls who said that, and also me, I use this as an instrument. Like, for example, it's the time to serve, and I will say I cannot do it because I have menstruation. And because we are mature, they didn't do these cruel things that they have done to the girls that they're younger. So Atjag came to the girls and said, "I want to check your panty, if there is napkin or not." And the girls just remove their pants to prove that they're not lying. So of course he knows that we are not willing that to do it, and we are forcing that to do it, and we don't want to do it. But he likes the most girls he like. It's those who try to deny, because he said, "I want you to overcome your flesh. I want you to be on the next spiritual level when flesh are nothing to you." Like, for example.
And after all, you said that Pastor had free access to the rooms. He even had keys to the rooms. So about the schedule that you mentioned, Miss Julia, do you mean Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? It was a young girl or a young and beautiful woman, no rest day, every day there was somebody scheduled.
Yeah, there's for every night he never stay alone. And all the girls that were living in pastoral area, they like they have this kind of ministry. Someone have just several times to experience that, and some have to do it like all the time, like almost every week.
And you also mentioned another important thing earlier, Miss Yulia, that nobody, even some of the full-time workers, nobody knows pastor's life behind those doors, behind the doors of the pastorals. You also mentioned Jack or Jacqueline Roy as your groomer. How did she groom you?
At first, it's a long story because in order to do it, it's not a very quick way. So I will try to make it short.
Yes.
Like when I was in transfer to a pastoral area and I started to live with Jack, I was very new. I even didn't know English, any word of English. And he was very in hurry to pull me in pastoral to pastoral ministry. And there was one time at the Jack, it was night, and she called me and she said like he wants to talk to you. And I came to his room and he have Russian Bible. He opened Russian Bible and because he cannot talk to me in English. And he said, I want you to read this verse in Russian. So I opened this Bible and there was a verse, I don't know how to say it in English, translate in English. It's about, there's a scripture about to sacrifice your body. And he was trying to ask me, are you ready to sacrifice like your body? And he put his finger on the bed because we were sitting on the chair before the bed. And he showing to the bed and he started to pull me. And then I was, because I was very new and everything that I know about him was good. And I get scared, I get shocked because like in my mind, this is really what he mean by pulling me to the bed. And I ran away from the room and there's a garage in front of Bible school. But in that time there was Sampayan, a big place with a lot of stuff. And I ran away because where I can go? I'm in other country. Where I will go? So I ran away and I hide myself there. And I was just crying because I was thinking how to go home. I get a problem, and who can help me to go out of this? And then when it's already morning, of course, I have to appear where I cannot stay there forever. And when I come back to the room, Jack was very mad to me. And they said that you run away from him, you don't have any respect to the Son of God. And they like start to let me feel that I'm guilty. And then I guess they realized that it's too early for me. I'm not ready yet. I'm not still not brainwashed that I can do it. So they explained that. They called me again and they said, "You don't worry. This is you," because they saw my reaction. They know that they cannot do it. I will just go away. And they said, "You don't worry. You help me this word.
Misunderstood?
You misunderstood.
Oh.
He just want to trust to try your faith, to know if your motive of coming here are really real. And they again use the verse of the Bible when Abraham sacrificed his son. And he said it was just like what he used to use. And this example.
Miss Julia.
It comforted me, and I said, "Oh, okay," because and then I again start to think good about him. Then the next level, we have a dinner, like few maybe weeks. Again, the next level, we have a dinner, and I have trauma in my back, and I was just talking like I have pain in my back, and. Mr. Quiboloy, he put a joke, as I thought in the time. He said, "Don't worry, I have a healing hand. I will do massage for you, and you will be healed." And I was just laughing or laugh because we thought it's a joke. But when the night came, in the middle of the night, Atachak came with pastor to my room, and I was just sleeping. And he said, you said you have back pain? He want to massage you." And I said, no, I'm okay. I was just joking. He said, "Don't worry, just trust, because it's a big privilege if he will pray on you." And I said, okay. And I just lay down. She turned off the light and she go out from the room. And then Mr. Quiboloy came and he started to massage my back. And of course, I didn't feel comfortable, but I also cannot escape. And after that, he started to move his hands lower to my back. And I get scared. I said, "No, I don't have pain there. Please don't do it." And he said, just relax, like things like that. And again, I ran away from the room. Again, I hide. Then the next morning, they spoke to me again. Like, he wanted to pray on you. He wanted to heal you, and you just go away. So little by little, really, I cannot mention all, but I want you to get the point.
Miss Julia,
there is a lot of trick that they were using.
Miss Julia and colleagues, the minority leader has to leave. Salamat kaayo, Senator Coco, for attending. Miss Julia, before my last follow-up question to you at this point, I'd just like to quickly ask Miss Jacqueline Roy. Miss Roy, quickly lang po at this point, narinig nyo yung mga sinabi ni Miss Julia. Do you confirm what she said? Inaamin nyo ba yung mga sinasabi niya na kayo daw ang nag-groom sa kanya para kay Pastor?
Good afternoon po, Senator. I want to invoke my right to remain silent, and I'm also invoking my right against self-incrimination since nasa korte na po ito. Salamat po.
Alright, babalikan na lang po namin kayo para sa ilan pang mga tanong mamaya. Miss Julia, just for a last question from me at this point. Miss Julia, you sent us a copy of an audio file that came into your possession. Now, noting that the Philippines Republic Act number 9208 as amended grants immunity from liability to a victim of human trafficking who transmits a recording involving a violation of that law, and noting further that this audio file had been also circulating already on the internet, the committee will play this audio.
So much to learn about, it'll make you wanna shout, Blippi!
So please stay with us, Miss Julia, while we play the audio file.
I was about
Ang makagamit sa inyo ang anak lang. Wala lain, maunay ka bubuto niya. Ikaw, pani, may number 1 diya. Pag nilapas ni mo, imo gilapastangan ang balaod. At yun kang ulay ko kaluoy. Pinagi sa duha o tulo ka saksi. Nabingwit na satanas doy. gapakita sila sa inyo sa internet, malipayon sila, no? Ganong gapakita pa man sila diyan, malipayon sila. Kay dili sila malipayon. Kato sila, bukuro na ko to. Abinan, tapos na ko sa ila. Pabayaron ko sila tanan. Kay naiutang sila sa ministry nako, naiutang sila sa kingdom. Bubayad ko sila madali, madugay. It will take 5 years, it will take 10 years. It does not matter. Basta nakatutok sa ilang angel of death. When the opportunity presents itself, patay sila. Kila nakapastoral na naigo nga tapad sa kuha. Kaya pa ninyo. Di man niya ko mapasakitan, membro-membro lang. Pagka nakik-contact ng lalaki diha, nakik-sex ka na sa iya. Ihatag mo na yung kaugalingon sa iya. Pag sa internet, nag I love you ka na, ihatag mo na yung kaugalingon sa iya. Dato ko, nagsaling ko sa imo, ihatag na kong gugman ako sa imo, gitraidor ko nimo. Driver, gitraidor ko nimo. Kung sa'yo akong buhaton. Dato ko, para mabawi akong tungo kung sa'yo akong buhaton. Ikaw ugang driver, patyon ta ka. Siguraduhin na ako mamatay ng duha. Dito pa ako makabawi sa akong tungo. O bitaw ang Muslim, doon ay honor killing. Dili na mo katalikodan ng ministry. Hindi mo mga matay. Pero yung pagtuo, pwede mo matalikod. Ginana kay gusto ninyo matalikod. Sulod daw mo NPA, be. Bisang kadre ka lang, sulod ka NPA. Pagka naka-lecture na kapila sa ilaha, di ka nakagawas. Pag di gawas ka, bukulong ka, patyon ka. Sulod mong mafia, sulod mong gobyerno sa Amerika. Pag ipasulod ka diya sa ilang CIA, ipasulod ka sa ilang FBI, ipasulod ka sa ilang NSA, nakabalo na ka sa ubang mga confidential niya. Tapos kalit-kalit mo talikod ka, di ka bukuro. Inani ang commitment na ako sa inyo. Wala na'y makatalikod sa inyo. Wala na'y makatalikod sa inyo. Wala na'y pwede mo traitor sa inyo. Pag nag-traitor mo, na'y magukod sa inyo. Patay doon mo dito. Kapahamakan na inyong yantuan. I-implement ko na ito na. Anong unang-unaan ninyo na ba? Pakalaluman ninyo ang pangunang-unaan ninyo sa ministry na ako. May pamilya mo. Ikaw pa may inahan ka din, may suol ka. Kato yung suol ni mo. At tinang mo yung suol sa gawas. Kung doon natin na, wala ibili na. Hinanakalalo ang commitment na ito, Dre. Pero nag-communicate mong lalaki, pagkatapos mag-report mo sa kuwa, Dre. Samtang niya mo sa akong balay, ang gusto na ako, Dre, may tumanon. Dili mo pwedeng mutuman, Dre, sa gusto ninyo, at dili na ako gusto. Kapuyon, kumagod ang animal, anak putang satanas, Dre, ba? May ibog ko ng mga Moros, ng mga Muslim. Na yung mga babae sila magpa-prostitute sa ilang mga warriors. Kasi para mawala ang stress. Ina na po ang iyong weakness sa lalaki. Ilabay ninyo na kaya di na nakabubutol sa mahan. Kaya gihin mo na mong pastoral para sa anak lang mo.
Miss Yulia, before my questions to you about this audio file, Mr. Quiboloy, huwag kayong mag-alala. Magkakaroon din kayo ng oportunidad na magresponde. Didigin lang natin kasama lahat ng mga victim survivors testimonies muna. At bahagi din po ito ng karapatan nyo marinig yung mga akusasyon laban sa inyo bago kayo magresponde. Yulia, is this the file? Is this the audio file that came into your possession?
Yes.
Yes. Do you recognize the voice speaking in the audio file?
Yes.
Whose voice is that?
This is the voice of Mr. Quiboloy.
Okay. And well, I know that you don't understand Bisaya so well, but do you have a sense of what he was saying in this audio file?
Yeah, because I experienced like the girl that he is talking about.
Only if you know, is Pane Stephanie Ibarra?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is
Who is Stephanie Ibarra?
Stephanie Ibarra is main senior in the kingdom, and she's main assistant of Mr. Quiboloy, like the one who like always guide him everywhere. Like, and he she also have access to his room, the same as Mr. Quiboloy have access to her room. So
Okay. Was she also your groomer? Was she also your groomer, like you said Jacqueline
no,
Roy was? No.
no, she was not my groomer. No.
All right.
And why I know you asked me, can you repeat the question, please? How I get idea what he's talking about in this
Yes.
audio, even though I don't understand English, because I experience a lot of things in the ministry. And for example, the girls have some lapses there. For the world, it's a normal thing. Like, for example, they want to chat some boys or something. Like, it's not a crime. But according to the standard of and rule that were in the pastoral, it's a big crime that he will punish them. And I witnessed how Stephanie was several times, only in my time, she was trying to leave the ministry. And,
Stephanie Ibarra or Pane was trying to leave the ministry.
Yeah, she was
All
trying to leave the ministry, and every time she tried, they very in brutal way, in very arrogant way, they will put her back to be always loyal to Mr. Quiboloy as his like.
How brutal and arrogant way?
Like, for example, there was one time she wanted to run away from the house of Manila. We stayed there, and before we have a concert day there, and we stay in worker's house. And she wanted to run away. She jumped from the window together with her luggage. And when they found out, I don't know really.
But she jumped from a window.
Yeah. She was trying to go out because she know that in her position in the kingdom, she cannot say that, can you release me? I don't, I'm full, I'm fed up, I want to go out. She know it's not possible. And,
why wasn't it possible?
Because like as I said, she is like his trophy. And he said, like even to us, like if she will leave, how I will handle the other girls, because she's like she used her as example that must be loyal, that must be.
So much to learn about, it'll make you wanna shout, Whippy!
Single, and he like he said that if I will let you to do it, it will be like like it will bad reputation on me, because
why was she Quiboloy's trophy?
Because this is her position in the kingdom. Because when you are in the pastoral ministry, the main goal is to become a leader, because most of the leaders in the kingdom are women. And he always said that all these girls must be a leader and must be single, because we sacrifice our life through the body of Quiboloy. And he didn't want to lose anyone, especially Stephanie, because
Stephanie.
And because after they left, of course they have a lot. They cannot control them anymore, and they know that anytime they can say what happened them, what they have experienced inside. Because while you are inside and you know all these things that going on there, like they're afraid that you, as long as you will go out, you will.
If she was able to escape, if Quiboloy could not control Stephanie or Pane Ibarra anymore, what would happen? Miss Julia? Yes.
I don't know because uh, to me and to us, it's nothing will happen. She will just live her own life, good or bad. It's depend on our choice on the way how
Yes.
we work on life. Because he always put the fear on us that if you will go out, you will become a prostitute. All the men will use you, and here only I using you, and you have this privilege. And he said, I will honor you, and in the world you will be dishonored, you will be lost, like to the you will be homeless. And this is what they are talking actually about us. Like for example, me, I came with a sincere heart to this ministry, and I didn't have any bad record inside the kingdom, except that I fight with Mr. Quiboloy about this pastoral ministry, because for me it was hard to adjust to this rule, because most of the girls in the pastoral, they came from a broken family or came from very young age, that don't have example in life, that don't have a father, and especially when you're young and don't have experience in life, you can plant them the thinking that this is life is normal, it's good. And when you don't have experience about other life in the world, you will really be afraid to go out.
Miss
And you-
Julia?
yeah.
Yes. No, I know that you want to say something to Pastor directly. Here in the Senate, in the Philippines, we don't allow resource persons to talk to each other directly. You may only address the chair. So if you want to say something directly to Quiboloy, please address it through me. For the record, please say, Madam Chair, this is what I want to say to Quiboloy, so that we can hear you and we can put your message to him on record. So please
Okay.
proceed.
Madam Chair, this is what I want to say to Mr. Quiboloy. When I came to the Philippines, I trust my life to you. You promised that you will put honor, dignity on us, and we trust that this is what will happen. And all of this time in this ministry, I was very honest to you. And if there was something that I understand, I always come to you and ask why. Explain me. So from the very beginning to the end, I don't have any bad records. I didn't show myself as a girl, cheap girl, and I always try to be on that level that you try to put on us. But because of this pastoral ministry, for how many years you know that I was trying to learn this way. But I always argue with you because I have a good example in my life. I have a family, there is a wife, there is a husband. I came 24 years old, I'm mature, and it was very hard to broke my the way my view about what is the life, normal life, happiness must be. And I really try to broke myself to follow your rules in the kingdom. But you lead us in a very bad experience. For all these years, of course, I have a good experience and bad, and when everything is mixed up, it's very hard to analyze. When when you are on your emotional are like they will put you very high, they will put you very low, and you're always on this wave. It's very hard to analyze the way you your true feelings, and they will think that the way you feel bad about this ministry, that this is immoral, but he tried to convince that this is the very high level. They made us doubt about our feelings. and I was there with the honest heart. And even before, like when what pulled me back from this ministry, because from this 6 years, as I said, I have a good and bad experience. And to the year of 2019, the bad experience was already more than a good, and I decided to leave. I made a letter through Attend Grid to pastor that I'm very thankful for all the experience that I have in the kingdom, because there is a lot of things that I love, like singing, worshiping, like young congregation. I love to serve God, but I'm going out because I have doubt about pastoral ministry. I cannot tolerate it anymore, and I don't feel that I I can do it. And this was the time of COVID, and I was in Ukraine that time, serving here. And because it was COVID, I went from the KLC workers' house, I went to my parents' house, and I stayed there for how many months? Because we didn't know. And this is again my thinking renew. Again, I see my family, I see, and I start to, there is no one who will influence me again. And I came to life. But even though the bad experience that I have, I still go with a thankful heart. And what they do to me, because I still watching, even though I go out, I still watching the TWP program. And in his TWP program, I didn't do anything, but he said about me that if you will work as a prostitute the whole your life out of the kingdom, you cannot replace all these material things that I invest in you here. You compare me as a prostitute, and I'm here living like ordinary life. I have to, when I go out of the kingdom, I was almost 30 years old. Because of the kingdom, I was not able to finish my study. I was not able to build my own family. I was not able to have my career so I can have something of my own. When you invest all your time, all your efforts, everything into the kingdom, and when you go out, you have nothing. And then in everything you do there, you do with the sincere heart. We never ask for payment. We never ask for salary. We go out from the empty hands, and still you are saying that we own you. Maybe this is you who own us, and you broke our reputation even. And he started to say very bad things about me to destroy my reputation, because he know that if I will go out in the way, in case if I will say what is happening there, my reputation will be destroyed and nobody will believe. This is what he always destructive that he do.
Yes.
And the last thing
Thank you
that I
very
want
much,
like,
Miss Julia.
1 minute, please, because
Yes.
I always argue about pastoral ministry, as I said, especially when the minors came, because I cannot tolerate, and they know this. And I start to fight for these kids because they hide it from us. And it's a very long story. Maybe I will have an opportunity to tell everything. But
Yes, you can also
Mr.
submit
Quiboloy
it to us in
told
writing.
me, Mr. Quiboloy told me, Yulia, don't come near to my relationship with God, because this pastoral ministry, this is my ministry, and I know what I'm doing. If I will have a problem with this, I will be the one to solve it. But when problem to appear, he never face it, because he wants the other, he used people who even are not pastoral and don't know about his life. They don't know what he eat, what his arrangement in the, they don't know anything. And we, how many years we stay under one roof? We all,
Thank you
and
very
he
much, Miss Julia.
uses not, he's, until now, he's not solving this problem that he created. He wants the all kingdom nation to protect him. He want even this victim to make them as accomplishment, protect him. But
Thank you very much, Miss
what
Julia,
I want
for
to
actually
face your
helping us.
problem.
Yes, you're helping us to find out what the problems actually were and see if through our laws we can prevent them ever happening again. So thank you very much, Miss Julia. Please stay on in our hearing in case we have other questions for you later in the hearing. We will now hear the other victim survivors. Thank you very much, Miss Julia, and take care. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Thank you. So ngayon, pakinggan naman po natin si Edward Ablaza Masayon. Sir Edward, maaari mo bang ipaalala sa amin, di ba kayo yung bahagi ng 2nd Signal Battalion ni Quiboloy?
Opo, Madam Chair.
Okay po. Ano po ba yung 2nd Signal Battalion? Para ba yung private army?
Actually po, Madam Chair, ang 2nd Signal Battalion is a legit po na galing sa Philippine Army. Noon po, nag-start yung ano ni Quiboloy po, yung private army po. Noong panahon pa po ng Task Force Davao, kasi yung unang batch ng Task Force Davao, yung hindi pa ako nakasali doon, meron po mga workers na kasama ko, yung pili lang, sila yung mga unang batch talaga.
Okay.
Task Force Davao is local lang po ng Davao.
Yes.
Noong 2015 po, mag-jump out po tayo. 2015, na-endorse po yung paaro sa dito sa Kingdom. Because paaro is gamit na gamit po kasi national na po siya.
Ano po yung paaro?
Philippine Army Affiliated Reserve Unit.
Okay, paaro.
Paaro po. Under po ng 11 RCDG, at saka po yung sa ARESCOM po na yung nag-train po is 1105th Community Defense Center ng 11 RCDG.
So yung paaro nasa ilalim ng 11 RCG?
RCDG po.
RCDG. Ano po yung RCDG?
Reserve, RCDG is Reserve Command po.
Ng Philippine Army.
Po.
At yung paaro nasa ilalim ng 11th RCDG at ng
nag-train po is yung sa 1105th Community Defense Center po.
Nag-train.
Yung under po ng
1105th Community Defense Group?
Group po, group.
Community Defense Group. Okay po.
Defense Center po.
Defense Center. Okay.
Bali po yung second Signal Battalion po is po yan, binubuo po yan ng buong Kingdom members o workers po. Wala pong nakasali dyan ng mga tagalabas. Hindi po kagaya ng ibang mga ng paaro sa ibang lugar po, sa ibang tawag nito, sa ibang parte ng regional po na yung exclusive po talaga yung 2nd Signal Battalion under po ng SMNI.
Oh, okay. Under ng SMNI, yung
Opo.
media company.
Opo, media company.
Pero yung
po.
media company ng SMNI, merong sa ilalim niya nitong 2nd Signal Battalion.
Opo. Ito po yung certificate ko po, sinerex ko po.
Okay.
Basahin ko po yung
Yes,
talaga.
please. And then pakisubmit ng kopya sa aming COMSEC. Sir
Ito po
Edward.
yung namin, yung sa September 7, 2015 to November 21 na training po namin.
Okay.
Po is Philippine Army Affiliated Reserve Unit, PARO, then Military Orientation Training of the 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion, Sunshine Media Network International. Ito po
So,
yung
ito pala ay 2nd Metro Davao Signal
Opo,
Battalion.
Signal Battalion.
Yung buong pangalan niya.
Opo.
Okay. Diyan ba sa 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion kinukuha yung tinatawag na Angels of Death?
Actually po, meron po tayong diyan po niya kinukuha. Yung ibig kong sabihin, yung Angel of Death po kasi, yung mga nagpumapatay po, yung mga, labi na sa mga kasamahan ko, na mga worker na napatay na po. Bali, kung saan po, for example, ako po, pag nakitaan ako ng loyalty, yung talagang gusto kong pakita yung faithfulness ko sa ministry, sa anak ng Diyos, bari kong gawin yun.
So yung pagkaalam nyo sa angels of death ay pumapatay sila, pumapatay pati ng workers, para magpakita ng loyalty kay Quiboloy.
Yung angel of death is nabuo po yun, yung sa mga against sa kanya. Like sa pastoral po, narinig niyo po sa kanyang yung na ano po ni Lulia, na papatayin yung mga pamilya nila, pag lumabas, pag marami silang alam, tapos lumabas sila, hindi na sila maaaring makalalabas sa ministry, sa poder niya. At saka maraming alam po, yung nakakaalam po sa, lalo na sa pastoral, inner circle, yung mga ganun po. At saka mayroon din pong member ng, yung sa Angel of Death, yung kasama ko rin po, yung si Simon Tagnipis. Si Simon Tagnipis po kasi, siya yung pumatay kay Jarog.
Kay?
Jarog po.
Jaruk?
Opo, Jarog.
Sino po si Jaruk?
Duming Jarog, hindi ako, dato po yan ng Kausayan.
Kahusayan?
Sityo Kausayan ng...
Sityo Kahusayan.
Opo, yung sa atayan, sakop atayan ng Manuel Gianga sa Davao City.
Sa Davao City, Sityo Kahusayan.
Nakasama ko po yan, open secret na po yan sa security department sa amin na siya yung talagang tumira kay Jarog.
Ang security department, ito rin po yung 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion.
Opo, under po ng security department yan ng Kingdom. Kasi more or less 21 department yung nasa loob ng Kingdom. May logistics, transportation.
Opo, logistics kina Mr. Resita o atiging kayo naman sa security department. Okay.
Ganun po yung namin set up po dyan sa loob.
Okay. At nung nasa loob po kayo nitong 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion o yung security department, meron ba kayong nasaksihan na inabuso o meron ba kayong nasaksihan na sinaktan? Paano yung ginagawa sa kanila? At bakit sa mga balita, bakit usually sinasaktan yung mga miyembro?
Maging ako po, hindi po ako exempted sa punishment. Kasi mari nilang sabihin sa akin na sa Bisaya ba, pabadlong yung matigas yung ulo. Tao rin naman po tayo nagkakamali. Lalo na yung sabihin, bawal mag-cellphone, bawal manood ng sine, bawal maglaro ng computer games. Because I was there, 15 years old pa po ako since 1999. I started yung nag-socialicit ako, nagtitinda ako ng puto, kakanin. Tsaka po, yung mga palo po na, yung mga punishment po na sinasabi lalo na po sila ni Ate Gingging, yung naranasan yung fasting, nauso po yan dati. 99, I was there in Tamayong. Kaya po, totoo po yung sinabi niya, na bawal po talaga silang kausapin. Bawal pong tulungan, bigyan ng pagkain kasi madadamay ka. Tsaka yung hindi naman po sila makakain talaga kasi yung mess hall separate. Nasa taas sila, yung mess hall nasa baba. Makikita sila kung kakain. Tama yung sinabi nila, in order for them na ma-survive yung physical nila, inom ka talaga pag naliligo ka. Yun ang testimony din ng mga nakaranas din ng fasting na nakausap namin after nun. Sa akin naman po, yung paluan po, 2013, massive po yun. Na pinasuot po kami ng SS, yung orange, yung serpent seed po ang ano po yung sa preso?
Serpent seed?
Opo. Naka-orange kami nun. Tanggap naman po namin yung time na yun kasi akala namin yung siya yung anak ng Diyos, yung talagang tanggapin mo yung punishment mo. Alam niyo po yung parang ang turing sa amin na yung trapo, mas may karapatan pa yung trapo kaysa sa amin. Hindi kami, kahit bata, bawal kaming kausapin, bawal kaming mag-ingay. Yung na isang beses nga, tumawa kami, palo kami ulit. Tawa lang po kasi mabigat kaya yung mag-ano ka ng bato. From gising kami ng 4 a.m., preparation para devotional 5 a.m. Tuloy-tuloy na yan, work job, kain, tanghalian, kain lang, 1 oras lang yung pahinga. Hanggang alas 10 ng gabi yung namin, trabaho, puro
Mas
overtime.
matagal pa sa pagkakaroling atiging na 14 hours. Kayo, 4 a.m. hanggang 10 p.m.
Opo, hindi pa po kasali yung devotional.
18 hours, may devotional pa.
Bago matulog po, yung mga 11 na po kami makatulog, 11 or 12, ganyan.
Ay, wow. Okay, so 16 hours, pwedeng umabot ang isang araw.
Opo.
Okay, Yung mga pagpatay nung 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion o yung security department, si Quiboloy ba ang nag-order ng pagpatay sa mga dating KOJC members?
Opo, kasi yung kay Simon po kasi, nasabi nila sa amin yan.
Yan po si Simon
Nakausap ko si Simon.
Tagnipes. Aha.
Opo, way back, ano yun? Hindi ko naalala yung mga taon na yun. Pero sabi niya na kasi may galit daw kasi si Pastor doon sa yung Jaruk kasi yung lupa niya doon ayaw ibenta.
Jaruk.
Opo.
Si Jaruk at si Simon Tagnipes ay parehong tao or
Hindi po, iba.
magkaiba sila?
Opo.
So bakit kung galit si Quiboloy kay Jaruk, bakit papapatayin si Simon Tagnipes?
Si Simon po kasi nung matapos niyang patayin si Jarog,
siya ang pumatay
siya
kay
pumatay
Jaruk.
talaga. Matapos niyang barilin si Jarog,
Okay.
nagkasama ko siya sa sa KOGC compound doon sa Katitipan na kung saan security din siya. Parang normal lang, parang walang nangyari. Hanggang sa lumabas siya. Yung paglabas niya po, hindi pa siya nagkaroon ng threat kasi nanahimik lang siya nung time na yun. Pero di namin alam bakit few years, ilang taon na, bakit nag-live siya ng Facebook. Against na siya ngayon kay Quiboloy po. Nagdala na siyang Bible, yung against sa doktrina. Sabi ng niya, yung mga kanyang pamilya niya, pinuntahan siya doon, nilapitan upang pabalikin. Ngayon, ayaw na niya kasi sabi niya, ngipin sa ngipin, mata sa mata. Kumbaga, nakasala siya ng nakakuha siya ng buhay, nakautang siya ng buhay ng tao. Kailangan din niya, parang natanggap na niya.
Yung pagpatay niya kay Jaruk?
Oo, tanggap na niya na may mangyayari din sa kanya. Kaya nga, talaga siya, sabi pa kasi magkakilala kami ni Simon sabi pa nga niyang niya, yung mga kaibigan niya, yung parinting niya talaga, yung kadugo niya. Kamag-anak niya, sabi nga niya na kung saan magdadala na siya ng Bible, gano'n na po yung niya. Kasi parang nagsisisi po siya sa nangyari nagawa sa kanya. Hanggang sa dumating po yung time na pinatay talaga siya.
At si Quiboloy ba talaga ang nag-uutos na pumatay? Baka mga tao lang niya, di niya alam?
Hindi
Siya ba
naman po
talaga?
namin, kung ako, hindi naman namin gagawin yun kung hindi inuutos mula sa taas. Sino ba kami? Magagalit lang kami sa isang worker, sa isang tao na against sa ministry, na lumabas, galit lang. Pero pag inutos na niya na gawin namin yan, gagawin po talaga namin yun.
Okay. Kamusta naman yung pagtrato ni Quiboloy sa mga miyembro? Halimbawa, pag may sakit, pag may pangangailangan ang miyembro, kumusta ba?
Pag may sakit po, yun lang po yung doon kasi kami, ordinary worker, dati yun, nakalalasan ko po nung nagkasakit ako ng pneumonia, basal pneumonia. Binibigyan lang po kami ng pamasahe, 100 piso, tapos pa-check up sa SBMC, sa public hospital, SBMC.
Southern
Tapos,
Philippines
opo,
Medical
Southern-
Center.
Hindi naman sa inaano natin, minamaliit yung SPMC. Maganda naman yung serbisyo doon. Pero sa ngala na nag-solicit ka, nakapagbigay ka ng income,
10 to 15 million every, ano ba yung sinabi kanina?
Yung buong
month.
pinag-anuhan namin, yung araw-araw naka-income kami pag mayroong month of blessings, yung KOH na sinasabi, nakakontribute ka ng pera tapos nagkasakit ka, ka lang, ipa-check up ka sa SPMC. Tapos niyan, ka pa sa lingap. Yung programa po ni doon po sa Davao yung lingap. Pipila ka doon ng ilang oras. At saka hindi po sinasabi, pinatawag nito yung Madam Chair, yung hindi pinapakilala na kingdom kami. Galing kami kay Quiboloy kasi mapapahiya daw si pastor. Kasi mayaman daw. Yung reaksyon ng tagalingap, nung malaman nila, Quiboloy mayaman yan. Bakit kayo nanghihingi ng
yun na
sa
nga.
ayuda? Ganun po yung
Tama rin. So kasi nakaka-generate kayo ng malalaking pera, pero hindi kumbaga katumbas yung medical care na nakukuha nyo kapag kayo naman ang nagkasakit. Kung may ibang pangangailangan bukod sa health, ganun din ba yung nangyayari lang?
Yung halimbawa po, yung katulugan nga namin, alam po nila General Torre po yun. Yung sila Colonel Maranta, nakapasok sila doon, yung tulugan ng mga babae doon. Parang dito, malaking na tapos parang mga sardinas dyan. Tabi-tabi, lahat. Walang maayos na tulugan. Kaya kabaliktaran po lahat nakikita natin sa TV, yung propaganda. Saka yung yung binibigay sa amin supply, sabon, ayan. Ayun po, walang, yung honorarium, swerte lang, mabigyan ka. 500 minsan weekly or 200, depende sa tagal mo na sa loob.
At sa kabila ng milyones na kinukwota sa inyo buwan-buwan. So pati yung mga higaan, kumbaga ilang paligo lang kumpara sa kailangang higaan ni Ate Gingging nung may bare tapos o may pako.
Opo.
Ito very bare din sa karanasan ninyo. Ngayon, Sir Edward, pagkatapos nung mag-share kayo ng testimonya nyo sa Senado sa pamamagitan ng video noon, inamin mo na lumapit ka kay Crescente Canada. Yes, kayo po. So maari mo bang ikwento, Sir Edward, yung encounter na iyon?
Opo, ganito po yan. Di ba po, yung last December,
Opo.
nag-ano po tayo ni attorney, yung nag-ano kami, yung
office
about
ko.
sa yung coming na hearing.
Opo.
Gaya po sinabi ni Yulia, kahit nila po ni Gingging, lahat kami dito, loyal at committed po kami lahat. Naniniwala kami na anak siya ng Diyos, glorified body. Kahit na lumabas ka, dahil parang doon ka na lumaki, yung mundo mo doon na umikot. Doon na umikot yung mundo mo. Tapos pag na-anuhan niya na nalaman mo na para sa isip mo na siya na talaga yung daan at katotohanan kahit nasa labas ka, magkaroon ka ng takot, baka mamatay ka, tapos siya yung harapin mo. Yung ganun po yung nararamdaman namin. Kaya nung time na yon, uso yung pinalabas na glorified na raw si Pastor. Yung time na yun, hindi na siya nagpapakita gaano. So, lumapit ako ngayon kay Ending Canada po, Crescente, sa Barangay Hall. Kasi baka sakali ako na totoo nga si Pastor, ko talaga, nakadecide talaga ako na lumapit. January 16 or 17, kung di ako nagkakamali.
Nitong taon.
Kumbaga, pagtatraidor po yung gagawin ko, yung ganun. Kasi isusuka ko yung mga contact na staff ninyo. Gagawin ko talaga yun kasi parang na-feel ko na totoo talaga to si Pastor. Parang, Lord, patawad po kung nakakontak ako sa kanila, nila Arlene. Ganun po na-feel ko kasi I've been there for 20 years. Tapos yung faith mo, alam mo na lumaki ka sa isang relihiyosong pamilya, yung ganun po. Tapos, paglapit ko po nung time na yun, buti na lang, may sinabi si Inting, bago ko na ibigay, buti na lang, hindi ko na ibigay yung number. Hindi kasi siya nag-ask nung una. Unang ginawa niya, nag-usap kami, fellowship, ang ganda ng fellowship. Ganyan talaga yung sa kingdom, buhay ni Pastor, ganyan. Bigla lang kalagitnaan, na iba yung usapan namin. Ba't naman kasi kayo pumupunta dyan? Ba't naman kasi kayo nag-testimony dyan? Hindi mo alam. Baka may riding in tandem na paglabas mo.
Ganon. Riding in tandem.
Yun mo sabi niya sa akin. Baka may riding in tandem.
Ano pang sinabi niya sa iyo?
Tapos silang bayon daw, yung silang bayon po, yung military po na namin, yung naka-DS po kay Quiboloy, sabi niya, silang bayon, bago lang may pinatay.
Anong pangalan nun?
Lambayon po apelido. Parang Dino ata yung pagkakaalam ko.
Nilo Lambayon. Dino
Opo.
Lambayon. So nung
Kilikili Night Treatment? New Dove Deo Night Serum. Works overnight while you sleep. Dove.
Sinabi ni Mr. Canada yan, Enteng Canada, na isang riding in tandem lang yan, tama ba na tinanong niya sino yung kausap mo sa mga staff ko? At nung binanggit niya yung riding in tandem, kaugnay ng mga staff ko, ano yung pagkaintindi mo sa tanong na yon at sa sinabing iyon?
Ang pagkakaintindi ko po, na maaari kaming ipapatay kung papatuloy namin itong ginagawa namin. Kasi pagbanggit niya na silang bayon, doon po ako medyo na, kasi silang bayon po kasi, kasama ko yan sa Julo, na nangharas doon sa yung mga native doon, yung mga nakatira sa Julo.
Mga lumad?
Lumad po. Pumunta nga, yung ebidensya, marami tayong ebidensya. Yung si LJ Lindaan, yung sa JMA, pumunta doon. Yung si dating chief ng Tibungko at Tugbok, si Alcala ba yun na pumunta din sa amin, interview. Ako yung kaharap. Yun po yung mga kasi silang bayon po kasi, alias pa nga siya noon, alias Rico, tapos naka-wig siya.
Alias Rico?
Oo, nung ginamit niya doon sa Julo.
And kanina nung Sir Edward, nung binabanggit nyo sina Simon Tagnipes at Jaruk, may binanggit din kayong usapin ng lupa. Ito rin ba ay kaugnay ng mga hinaras na mga lumad? Or iba
Opo,
pang-
kasali na yan sa Jolo, buong ano ng Tamayo.
Jolong.
Jolo, Sitio Jolo.
Sitio Jolo.
Opo.
Okay. Okay, so yung encounter nyo, yung pag-uusap nyo kay Mr. Canada ay may ganong parang banta na ang dating sa inyo pwede kayong ipapatay dahil binanggit yung riding in tandem. Pati nung tinanong niya sa inyo, yung staff ko, binanggit din yung riding in tandem. Ano yun, pati staff ko binabantaan nila?
Hindi po, hindi naman talaga direct na basta.
Kayo?
Pero ano lang, parang ano lang ba, yung ano ka, pag ano ka dyan, piniksian lang. Na ano, mayroong riding in tandem. Kaya na ano po ako, natakot din po ako nung sa mga kasamahan ko na staff kasi konsensya ko rin naman kung ibiligay ko yung number. Siya nirason ko na lang na ay, naiwan yung ano ko sa ibang doon sa isang cellphone ko yung ano, ma-contact kasi nagmamadali akong pumunta dito para makausap ka. Kaya alam niyo po ba, pinag-isipan ko yun bago pumunta doon. Nagdalangin talaga ko, Lord, kung kalooban mo na totoo si pastor, magaganap talaga ito, mangyayari talaga na babaliktad talaga ako. Buti na lang naka-mention siya nung time na yun. Parang yun na yung ano ko eh. Alam mo, masaya ka, nag-usap kayo, fellowship, tapos biglang gumagano, kumambyo. Yung saya mo, nabaliktad, na ano, na, uy, parang ano to
Iba.
Iba na to Mayroon namang inutusan niya si Simon. Kaya lahat ng napatay po nila, na mga kasamahan ko, sila Simon Tagnipes, Nanay sa Bolivar, si Raymond Pasyol, naalala ko po doon sa ano ko, yung na-recall ko ba sa isip ko, bida to yung kawawa yung mga kasamahan ko.
Si Elsa Bolivar na binanggit din ni Ate Gingging kanina, yung senior citizen.
Opo.
And then binanggit nyo ngayon si Raymond Fasiol na binanggit mo rin dati sa video interview nyo. Marami ba to? Yung mga pinapapatay, no?
Actually, mayroon pa po mga iba dyan na hindi ko po minention. Baka ano na po yung magsabi.
Opo. Mga ilan po sa pagkaalam niyo?
Kaalam ko po, mayroon pa nga yung pastor under investigation po. Yung isang pastor na ano pa po yung si Dishera, yung apelido Dishera. Worker din po yun dati. Member o worker yun siya. Kung hindi mo kasi maano, kahit sabihin mo na ano po, Madam Chair, bakit yung isa, nabunggo ng tricycle yung isa, pwede naman yun, bakit puro baril?
So panay baril ang pagbaril ang kinamatay.
Panay puro pagbaril yung yung kinamatay ng mga coincidence talaga. Tapos kung mag-iimbestiga kayo doon sa mayroong fall guy, yung mga ganun po.
Okay. So may mga fall guys pa.
Na nahuli. Tapos hindi naman pala yung yung totoo, kumbaga hindi alam ng pamilya na may nahuli na pala sa sa mga suspect, yung ganun po na sinikreto ng police station.
Alright. Dagan salamat, Edward. Paki-stay on para sa rest ng hearing natin. Oo. Pero magiging mas conscious pa ako sa oras dahil mga kasama, dear colleagues, signal number 2 na po sa labas. Okay. So, Sir Joar. Sir Joar Martinet.
Yes po.
Olimba.
Opo.
Okay. Salamat kayo. Sir Joar, so para lang maalala namin ulit, maaari mo bang ikwento ng maiksi kung paano ka naman naabuso?
Opo, Madam Chair. Good afternoon sa lahat. By the way, ako pala si Joar Olimba and Iki alias Jerome. Ako po isang full-time worker sa under po ng Logistic Department na wala ibang ginagawa, magtinda, mag-solicit sa lahat ng Metro Manila at buong NCR. Ako po diniritso ko lang po kasi na ko na po ba, di ba?
Apo.
Yung na lang, nakaranas po ako ng karumal-dumal na sa loob ng compound ng Kingdom of Jesus Christ. Doon po sa Baliches, sa Oyo, Quezon City. Ako po ay nakaranas ng karumal-dumal na self-torture po na utos po ni Pastor Quiboloy. Sa kasalanan po, nanood lang po ako ng sine at saka nagka-girlfriend na tagalabas. Ang sabi niya po sa amin, through calling po yun, hook up po ang tawag noon. Sabi niya sa amin na lahat kayo, ang gagawin nyo, iuntog nyo ang ulo nyo sa pader, hindi kayo titigil hanggat hindi kayo hihinto. Hindi nagdurugo. Tapos po, suntok namin yung kamay namin, hindi kami titigil hanggat hindi magdurugo. Tapos, mayroon pa nga ako mga katibayan dito, Madam Chair, na sa kamay ko, may mga pati dito sa ano ko, noo ko. Then that time, meron ding nagdala sila ng yung mga dinikdik na sili. Tapos, pinapalagay sa amin, sa aming mata, bibig, at buong ari namin. At pagkatapos nun, hindi namin alam kung anong mangyari sa amin. Sabi na lang sa sarili namin kasi faithful ba kami ni Quiboloy nun eh. Para sa ama to. Sabi na lang, sabi ng kasamaan ko sa isa doon, hindi na pala langit to, impyerno na pala to. Yun ang sabi ng kasamaan ko noon that time. That time, hindi pa nakontento. Pagkatapos, after 2 weeks yata, dinala pa kami sa doon sa Guadalupe. Pinatrabaho kami ng walang permit. Yung building niya, yung ginagawa niya ngayong is MNI. Kami pinakauna nagtrabaho doon. Tapos binigyan lang kami ng 2 damit. Yun lang, palitan lang. Trabaho kami noon, 2 buwan yata kami nagtrabaho doon. Doon, pagtatrabaho namin, para sa ama din. Yung ginagawa namin kasi para sa ama, nagdadalangin din kami. But that time, was time na sa katagalan namin magtrabaho doon, naisipan namin parang hindi na yata tama to Di ba? Patatrabuhain ka na walang permit, tapos bawal kami magtrabaho ng umaga kasi bawal nga, kasi walang permit. Gabi kami, madaling araw hanggang umaga, alas 6 kami magtrabaho. Lahat ng mga kwarto doon sa building na yun, binabar daw namin. Nagahamitan namin ng hammer. Yun lang ginagawa namin. Ilang taon yun, ay ilang buwan. Kaya pagkatapos noon, naisipan namin siguro na nag-isipan namin na tumakas na lang. Wala kaming pera noon that time, di ba? Wala kaming damit. Todes lang, di ba? Ang ginawa namin, meron kami nakukuha ng mga doon, mga bakal, Madam Chair. Mga bakal, tapos meron kaming doon kaibigan sa labas kasi hindi kami makalabas kasi meron kaming gwardiya, 2 may mga armado Mga Armalite pa yung mga baril.
Wow, long arms.
Naka-uniform pa na task force, Davao that time yun.
Task Force Davao sa Guadalupe, sa Makati?
Opo. Pagpanis din namin doon sa Oyo, meron din mga 2 armado din. May mga baril din. Hindi kami makalaban. Kaya para sa ama na lang yung ginagawa namin, yung punishment namin. Hindi ako makapaniwala yung ganun yung punishment namin
At paano mo nakumpirma na si Quiboloy mismo ang nagpapayag or nagpagawa ng ganong torture sa inyo, yung paguntog ng ulo, pagsuntok ng kamay, paglagay ng sili sa sensitibong parte
siya
ng
po talaga
katawan?
nagsabi kasi that time nasa Amerika siya noon. Kapag kasi that time noon, yun, MOB, month of blessing niya noon Tapos lumit yata yung kita, kaya galit na galit siya. Kahit minor lang yung kasalanan namin, yun na yung for the first, hindi kami kapaniwala, yun yung sinabi niya na bakit ganun yung punishment namin. Kasi kadalasan yung punishment namin lang yung sinasabi natin, yung fasting lang, or palo sa puwit, di ba? Hindi yung naisip namin para naman to
Wait, ang boghag ng hair ko. Sa akin din, may dents. Huwag na lang tayo maglugay. Ilugay mo na. Ilugay picture mo. Girls, you can let your hair down with Sunsilk para iwas frizz, dents, and tangles. Period!
Fraternity, di ba? Pag ganun. That time, tinawag kami lahat. Pinaakyat kami sa taas. Lahat ng may mga kasalanan, Madam Chair, pinaharap dun sa altar. Tapos tumawag si Quiboloy through calling, hook up, tapos yung cellphone tawag siya, tapos kinokonek sa speaker para marinig namin lahat. Tapos binabanggit nila yung lahat ng mga kasalanan namin isa-isa. May naglalaro lang ng Dota. Kung sa akin nanligaw lang ako tapos nanood ng sine. Samantala sila nanonood pala sila ng sine sa Amerika everyday. Di ba?
Sabi ni Ate Gingging. So narinig nyo talaga siya, yung boses niya na mag-utos ng
palagi yan, Madam Chair, kasi hindi na bago palagi. Kasi palagi din ako na-hook up niya dati kapag nakakasuntok ako ng guard sa mall, kapag nagtitinda ako, kasi nagagalit ako Nagagalit ako sa mall kapag nahuhuli ako tapos sasabihin ng guard, Quiboloy yan, siyempre. Magpakamatayan kami para sa kanya, di ba? Ihanda namin, buwis namin ng buhay para sa kanya. Ayaw namin, kasi yun ang utos namin, hindi dapat si Quiboloy. Hindi siya masali sa anong ginagawa namin na paghahanap ng pera. Di ba?
At tama ba, Sir Joar, yung balita namin na pagkatapos lumabas yung video testimony mo nung sa nakaraang hearing, ay kinasing yung maliit mong karinderya?
Opo, meron kasi tinanong ko po yung may-ari ng, hindi to kasi pagkatapos hindi ako umuwi doon kasi natakot na ako eh. Tinawagan ko yun ng yung may-ari ng inaupahan ko doon sa karinderya ko. Sabi sa akin, huwag ka muna po umuwi dito kasi mayroong mga tao dito nagpipicture. Tapos naghahanap saan daw ako. Kaya hindi na ako umuwi.
So,
yun lang,
hinanap ka
takot na ako.
by name?
Oo, yun lang. Pero hindi ko naman sabi kung sila yun.
Okay. Okay, salamat kayo.
Thank you
Salamat
po, Madam
Sir
Chair.
Joar. At ngayon gusto ko rin matanong si Ms. Jocelyn Mondehar. Ms. Jocelyn, tama ba na yung anak mong minor ay dating miyembro ng KOJC?
Yes po, Madam Chair.
At yung anak niyo po, siya din po ba ay pinalimos ng
Yes po.
KOJC? Okay. So, bakit mo siya kinuha sa KOJC, yung anak mo?
Gusto ko po sana umpisahan yung ano ko.
Yes, sige po. Briefly kung maaari. Sige po.
Mapagpalang araw sa ating lahat po, no? Gusto ko lang itong i-share, hindi dahil galit ako. Kasi napakabuti ng Diyos sa akin. Ngayon, simula nung nag-withdraw ako ng loyalty, nagpaalam ako sa office ni Mr. Quiboloy dito sa may Angono, KLC. Last year, nagpaalam ako na mag-withdraw ako. Kasi ayoko na magsimba pa dyan or maniwala, magiging patuloy na maging sympathizer kung nagdududa na ako sa kanya. So, nirespeto ko pa rin yung ministry niya. Nagpaalam ako. Tapos yung, dati po ako full-time din, 1993. Katulad din ng iba, ginawa din kami taga-produce ng pera pero sa paglilimos sa iba't ibang paraan. Ako, umaakyat ako ng bus o gamit yung mga iba-ibang association. Lahat na lang ginawa namin. 2021 November 25, lumabas ako kasi nagkaroon ako ng ulcer. Kasi 1999, naranasan ko din yung parusan dry fasting. From Cagayan, pinapunta ko ng Davao for dry fasting, 7 days nang hindi ko din alam kung bakit. Wala nang nagsabi. Until now, naraano ko pa yun. Yun ang ano ko ngayon. Kasi nagkaroon ako ng ulcer nga hanggang ngayon. Ano ko pa rin yan. Yun pa rin ang sakit ko. Tapos, year 2021 April, naimbitahan yung anak ko na 13 years old. Actually, 3 sila. O yung kasama din yung anak kong 13 years old sa Angono KLC para daw sa preparation for youth camp practice. Tapos pinayagan ko lang kasi mas gusto ko kasi bilang isang ina, gusto mo mga anak mo mapalapit sa Diyos para hindi mapariwara. So pinayagan ko. Nagulat ako, dumating yung gabi, yung 2 anak ko na lang ang nakauwi. Yung panganay ko tsaka yung sumunod ko sa bunso. Yung 13 years old ko, hindi nakauwi, hating gabi na. So wala akong alam. Inano ko yung ministro nila assign kung nasaan. Tinanong ko through chat. Hindi rin niya alam. Tapos nalaman ko na lang sa may kapitbahay ko na member din nila na dinala pala yung anak kong 13 years old sa tinatawag nilang glass house. Itong glass house na to, ito yung dinadalhan nila ng mga young people na nare-recruit nila for training sa logistics, yung pagtitinda. Doon nila dinadala sa glass house. Exclusive yun sa mga young people. Doon nila dinadala. Tapos hindi ko kaagad na, wala akong means of communication sa anak ko kasi wala naman siyang cellphone. Tapos after 3 days, sa pangungulit ko doon sa ministro nila, nakausapin ko yung anak ko. Nakausap ko siya sa cellphone through sa youth leader na na-assign si Rima Fauni, yan. Tapos yun na nakausap ko siya, bigla akong nagulat dahil nag-iba yung salita niya. For a 13 years old nagulat ako. Mama, hindi na ako mag-aral. Kasi babalik na ang Panginoon. Tapos si Pastor Quiboloy mag-glorified na. So nagulat ako kasi bagong member lang yung 13 years old ko at that time. Ano siya masipag yun mag-aral. Talagang sobrang sipag niya mag-aral. Nagulat ako, ganun na ang salita niya. Dito, sabi ko, anak, ganito yan kasi dati akong worker dyan so alam ko. Kahit pa mag-glorified si Pastor Quiboloy or bumalik ang Panginoon, magpatuloy ang mundo, hindi totoong matunaw ang mundo. Kailangan mong mag-aral kasi yun ang tama dahil minor ka. Tapos hanggang sa hindi ito na yun, ito na yung ito na yung gusto ko. Magtinda na lang habang buhay para sa anak. para kay Pastor Quiboloy, kay gusto daw niya makarating sa 7th heaven. So ibig sabihin, sabi ko, Nak, mayroon nagsabi sa'yo. Kasi hindi mo alam yan eh. Bakit mo masabi? 13 years old ka lang. New convert ka lang. So meron nagsabi sa'yo niyan. Ayaw niyang aminin. Tapos sabi niya, Mama, lagi kong ini-insist sa kanya, Madam Chair, na, anak, mag-aral ka, sige, kung gusto mo dyan, maglingkod ka dyan, maging alay ka ng buhay mo kay Pastor, through Pastor Quiboloy, mag-aral ka talaga. Ang sabi niya, Mama, pinaka-worst na, sinabi ng isang anak sa isang ina, Mama, hindi naman talaga kayo ang tunay na may-ari ng buhay namin. Ginamit lang kayong instrumento ng Diyos para mailuwal kami. Pero ang nagmamay-ari sa amin si Pastor Quiboloy, ang anak ng Diyos. Sobrang, sabi ko, sabihin mo, kasi pupuntahan ko yung sino nagsabi sa'yo, ayaw niya talagang sabihin. Tapos,
Ayun, okay na. Actually, Miss Jocelyn, talagang, I mean, sa puntong yan talagang napakasakit marinig at nakakabahala sa isang ina. Pero baka senyales din ito na kailangan din natin pagkatapos nyo ngayon, marinig si Mr. Quiboloy at marinig sina General Torre bago lalong sumama yung panahon. So, kung maaari ko kayong pasalamatan sa punto pong ito, pero kung mayroong pang mga tanong, mamaya please stay
Ma'am, pwedeng last na lang. Inanong ko na lang
Sige po,
patuloy
sige po,
po.
Miss
Kasi
Jocelyn.
dito po nagpatuloy na siya doon. Tapos dahil sa ano ko na ipag-aralin siya, dito ang pinakamalaking problema, ma'am, dahil pineke nila yung pag-aaral ng anak ko. Kinuha nila yung report card, previous report card ng anak ko ng grade 8. Tapos PSA, kunyari in-enroll nila. Pero sa isip ko bilang isang ina, paano ang isang bata nakakapag-aral ng mula umaga hanggang gabi, madaling araw, nagtitinda ng otap? Di ba hindi hindi dapat? Paano makapag-aral isang bata? 13 years old lang yung anak ko. May sakit pa siya sa baga kasi mahina ang baga noon. Lagi kong sinasabihin may sakit sa baga ang anak ko. Tapos ma'am, nung time na sinasabi nila na ini-insist ng youth leader na nag-aaral yan te.
Ito yung Rima Fauni.
Opo. Pati yung dalawa yan sila, si Carla Guillermo. Oo.
Okay.
Tapos ma'am, nagpatulong ako sa teacher niya dati, grade 7. Ma'am, pakitrace kung talagang ba na-enroll ang anak ko. So, sabi ng teacher niya, ma'am, kahit saang school, wala siyang makitang pangalan ng anak ko naka-enroll. Pero sinabi niya naka-enroll. Tapos nung time na nalaman ko yun, ma'am, pinagpursige ako. Sabi ko, pupuntahan ko yung hideout nyo kasama ang DSWD at DepEd, may kausap na ako. Siguro sa takot nila mama iskandalo, hinatid nila yung anak ko sa bahay.
Ay,
So pagdating ma'am pagdating nun sa amin na to make the story short, nakauwi ang anak ko dahil siguro napilitan sila. Pag-enroll ko ma'am ng grade 9, sinubukan ko i-enroll ulit sa grade 9. Kahit sinasabi nila na na-enroll sa grade 9, sinubukan kong i-enroll sa grade 9 para makita ko kung anong reaksyon ng bata. Kasi kung totoo nag-aral siya, niya ako, mama hindi, kasi na-enroll na ako doon, nag-aral ako. Wala siyang kahit anong reaksyon, ma'am. So na-confirm ko na hindi talaga siya nag-aral. Tapos isa
Salamat,
pa,
Miss
ma'am,
Jocelyn.
pinatanong ko po sa teacher, pina-interview ko ma'am siya sa teacher. Kung nag-aral ka, sino ang teacher mo, kung online man o sino ang principal mo sa JMC. Ma'am,
Jose
wala po
Maria
siyang
College.
alam.
Okay.
Wala po siyang alam.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Miss Jocelyn, at talagang mabuhay kayo sa pagkuha, no? Yung matagumpay na pagkuha nyo sa anak ninyo. And salamat din sa pagbanggit sa DSW at DepEd dahil mamaya may itatanong din tayong kahit mabilis sa kanila dun sa pag-rehabilitate ng mga bata na kinuha na ng magulang o ng gobyerno sa KOJC kaugnay ng moving forward natin mula sa itong napakarami at matitinding problemang naiimbestigahan natin dito. Maraming salamat, Miss Jocelyn. Paki-stay on sa hearing natin in case may iba pang mga kaugnay na tanong.
Maraming salamat.
Salamat po. So ngayon po, dadako na po ako kay Apollo Quiboloy. So, Mr. Quiboloy, bibigyan ko po kayo ng
So much to learn about, it'll make you wanna shout, Blippi!
pagkakataon na magresponde sa mga akusasyong ito. At marami po sila. Pero unang tanong po, ilan ang miyembro ng KOJC?
Salamat po, Madam Chair, sa pagkakataong ito na makaharap ko ang lahat ng mga nandirito at narinig ko ang kanilang mga testimonya. At magpasimula po tayo kay Ms. Valdehuesa.
Pastor Quiboloy, Mr. Quiboloy,
Madam
yung
Chair.
tanong ko muna, ilan ang miyembro ng KOJC?
More or less po sa tingnan ko po muna ang exact na
Kahit in estimate po.
more or less po including mga partners, yung ibig sabihin ng partners yung hindi pa membro pero covenant partner na sila, mga more or less 7 million.
So kasama, so miyembro plus covenant partners, mga 7 million sa inyong pagkabilang. Okay, sa mga follow-up question ko po, dun sa mga testimonya ng mga victim survivors, sinexually abuse nyo ba ang mga babae at mga menor de edad? At
Wala
ginamit nyo ba ang relihiyon para i-sexually abuse
Wala
sila?
pong katotohanan yung kanilang mga sinabi. Kung meron po silang mga charges na criminal laban sa akin, malaya po silang mag-file ng kaso at doon ko haharapin at sasagutin sa tamang forum sa korte ng ating lupa tulad ng kinakaharap namin ngayon.
And actually, on that matter and for the record, may at least isa sa victim survivors na dati nang naghain ng kaso sa inyo dun sa Davao, kaya lang dinismiss. Kaya inappeal nila sa Department of Justice. Yun naman pong mga testimonya ni na Ms. Valdehuesa at ni Julia, tinatanggi nyo ba ang mga testimonyang iyon?
Tinatanggi ko po. Wala pong mga katotohanan yung kanilang mga sinasabi, kundi sa aking paningin ay kabaliktaran. Ngunit hinahamon ko po silang mag-file ng kaso sapagkat ito ay mga kriminal na mga allegations. At ito ay para maging fair, ay maghain po sila ng mag-file sila ng kaso laban sa akin o kanino mang kanilang gustong mag-file laban sa mga kingdom na leaders or members because we are under the law of the Republic. Tulad po kay Masayon, yung kanyang sinabi.
Pastor, i-interrupt ko muna kayo doon dahil tinatanong ko muna yung mga testimonya ni na Ms. Valdehuesa at ni Julia.
Sorry po.
Pinalimos niyo po ba yung mga bata para i-sustain ang operasyon ng KOJC at para tustusan ang inyong lifestyle?
Wala po kaming mga palisiya na magpalimos ang bata.
Pero walang polisiya man, pinalimos niyo ba sila?
Hindi po. Wala pong katotohanan yun.
Okay. Yung mga adults po,
Ganun din.
pinalimos nyo ba sila or pinayagan nyo ba silang maglimos para sa operasyon
Hindi po.
at lifestyle
Wala
ng
pong
KOJC?
polisiyang ganon ang kingdom na magpalimos.
Wala mang polisiya pero pinalimos nyo ba sila,
Hindi
yung
po.
mga adults?
Hindi po. Wala pong katotohanan yun.
Alright. Pinayagan nyo ba yung pang-aabuso at pag-torture sa mga miyembro nyo?
Hindi
Halimbawa yung parusang dry fast?
Hindi rin po polisiya ng kingdom ang batas ng pagparusa ng tao ay ipapasting para mamatay.
Napansin ko po, lagi kayong nagre-refer sa polisiya, pero ang tinatanong ko po ay yung practice. So, pinaabuso nyo ba, pinatotorture nyo ba yung mga miyembro nyo? Pinapa-dry fast nyo ba sila?
Sa freedom of religion po natin, meron tayong separation of church and state. At tulad ng sinabi ko, yung fasting ay voluntary kung tatanggapin mo. Hindi po ipinipilit.
Alright. Kayo ba yung nakaisip nung modus na piliting magpakasal yung mga miyembro nyo na hindi naman magkarelasyon para manatili sila sa ibang bansa? Sino pong nakaisip nun, nung modus na yon?
Because this is under the investigation already, I invoke my right to remain silent on this issue.
Alright. Quickly lang po kay Ate Gingging, Yung dry fast po ba, voluntary ba ito?
No, for sure.
No. All right. Salamat
It
po.
was an instruction.
Instruction. So, hindi siya voluntaryo, instruction or utos siya. All right. Salamat po. Mr. Quiboloy, boses niyo ba yung nasa audio file kanina, yung binabantaan mo yung si Stephanie o si Pane?
Kailangan po i-authenticate kasi ngayon malakas ang AI.
So pero boses niyo ba yon yung nagbabanta kay Pane o kay Stephanie?
It appears na parang boses ko. Pero hindi
Alright.
ko po ma-authenticate kasi ngayong panahon na to malakas ang AI.
At sino po si Stephanie Ibarra? Sino po si Pane?
Isa po sa mga manggagawa.
Manggagawa. Ano po yung relationship o relasyon nyo kay Pane o Stephanie Ibarra?
Isa pong manggagawa.
Isang manggagawa. Pero hindi ba totoo na kinupkup nyo siya, kinuha nyo sa inyong pag-aalaga nung siya ay 2 years old pa lamang?
With this issue po kay Pane, I invoke my right din to remain silent.
All right. So, pero sa pagkaalam po namin, inalagaan nyo siya nung bata pa lamang siya. So, parang naging tatay kayo ni Stephanie o Pane Ibarra. Tama po ba?
I invoke my right to remain silent po sa issue na yan.
Okay. Kasi sa audio file naman po, sa kabila nung sa pagkaalam ay kinupkup nyo siya nung 2 years old pa lamang, bata pa lang siya, na parang naging tatay kayo niya. Pero sa audio file, bakit parang asawa? Asawa nyo kung ituring itong si Stephanie o Pane?
I invoke my right to remain silent on that
Alright.
issue rin po.
Ngayon po, kino-confirm nyo po ba na meron kayong isang hukbo o private army sa inyong disposal? At ano po iyang tinatawag na angels of death?
Yan po ay kasinungalingan at kung yan ay akusasyon, inihiling ko ang accuser na mag-file siya ng kaso laban sa akin.
Okay. So, sinasabi nyo kasinungalingan yung isang hukbo na nasa inyong disposal.
Opo.
Pero ano naman po yung angels of death?
Hindi ko po, imbento po nila yan eh.
Invento lamang. Ano ang, kanina po kasi sinabi po ni Sir Edward na yung ano ba ito? Yung, saan na ba yung notes ko? Teka ha. Okay, Edward. Yung 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion ay may kaugnayan sa Task Force Davao. So, ano ang ugnayan kung mayroon ng Angels of Death dun sa DDS o Duterte Death Squad naman?
Wala po akong personal knowledge niyan, so I
Walang
invoke
personal
my
knowledge.
right to remain silent on that issue also.
All right. Tapos, pwede nyo bang ibahagi sa amin, mula sa perspektiba nyo, yung detalye ng law enforcement kung papaano nakuha nila ang kustodiya sa inyo?
Pakiulit po.
Mula sa inyong pananaw at karanasan, paano pong nakustodiya kayo sa kamay ng gobyerno, ng ating law enforcement
With
agencies?
that issue po, I also invoke my right to remain silent.
All right. Sige. Bago po ako dumako naman kina General Torre, meron po akong IFA flash dito po sa ating monitor. Panoorin natin lahat, pati ninyo, Mr. Quiboloy. Inaayos lang po yung pag-flash natin dito. Naglalag lamang po pero andito na dito sa gilid. Meron pa lang ako nakikitang pamagat ng event na closing ceremony. Okay. Welcome closing ceremony. Military orientation training. Baka ito yung binanggit ni Edward kanina na ganitong klaseng training ng mga paaru. Na nasa 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion na may kinalaman sa Task Force Davao, yung paaro sa ilalim ng 11 RCDG or yung 1105th Community Defense Center. Okay. Edward, alam nyo ba itong closing ceremonies ng military orientation training na to?
Madam Chair, una sa lahat, yung correct ko lang po yung TF Davao, separate po yun, iba yun.
Opo.
Unang training po yun ng batch ng worker.
Okay.
Pero lately, naging pumasok na sila sa Paaro. Yun na yung national. Separate po yung Task Force Davao sa Paaro. Yung Paaro nag-start 2015 po, Second Signal Battalion. Yan po yung mga lately na yan na mga batch na mga na mga training po. Kasi hindi lang naman sa aming batch 2015 yung may training Every year nag-help po ng training. Kung mapapansin niyo po, pagkakaalam ko hindi pa Brigadier General po si Quiboloy nung time na yan, nung time namin. Parang bago lang ata yan naging Brigadier General sa reserve unit.
Yes, na nakikita natin sa litrato na natakpan lang ng bilog sa kanila pero BGen, Pastor Apollo C, na I suppose Quiboloy. Apo. Pwede nyo bang i-confirm ito, Mr. Quiboloy?
Still on this issue, I invoke my right to remain silent din po.
Okay. So kaya ko noted, ini-invoke nyo ulit yun. Kaya ko ipinakita sa ating lahat ito, dear colleagues, ang mahalaga, ang military training na ito, lumalabas ay para alagaan si Mr. Quiboloy, hindi po para sa bayan. Na ang alam natin sa ating mga armed services, yun talaga ang mandato nila. So, Mr. Quiboloy, ginagalang po ng komite namin yung constitutional rights ninyo. Ang mahalaga ay nabigyan kayo ng pagkakataon na magsalita rito. And then, ngayon po naman, please, of course, you will stay on sa hearing para kung may iba pang tanong sa inyo bago tayo matapos, bago tayo mag-adjourn. Ngayon po, tungo tayo sa ating law enforcement naman. So kung maaring matanong ko naman muna si General Torre, sir. General, nung nakuha po si Quiboloy, naging usap-usapan po noon kung naaresto ba siya or sumuko ba siya. Pwede nyo bang liwanagan ito para sa amin? Paki-update nga po ang bayan. Once and for all, ano po ba ang nangyari?
At the outset, ma'am, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to present our side on this August body. This is the second time that we appear in the Senate, and in the first time, it resulted in our ability to show to the public what is happening during the 16-day operation inside the KOGC compound. And today, we do hope to continue with our quest for justice to help the victims look and find and receive the justice that they also deserve. Regarding the arrest of Mr. Quiboloy, in all intents and purposes, in our whole operations, he is arrested because he submitted himself to my representative because he has no other options other than submit himself to the custody of the law. Because whether he like it or not, he has no other options during the time. Because I have 4,500 people around him inside this compound, and 1,200 is concentrated on the two buildings that he has control of. On the part that he is saying that he voluntarily surrendered, it is just on the colloquial and the popular on the popular term of this term surrender, because he has no other option. Again, I will stress on that, because all the other units there that provided us with assistance only provided prisoner transport from the place he is arrested to the place where he is detained. So that's I think the synopsis of everything that transpired during that day on September 8th, when he took custody of him to make him answerable to the crimes that he is charged of in various courts in the Philippines.
Salamat po, General. And bilang isang sibilyan, isang mambabatas, naiintindihan ko na anuman yung colloquial or popular term na gamitin, ang outcome ay nasa kamay na siya ng ating mga otoridad dahil sa environment na na-create nyo on the ground, no? Kasama itong 4,500 personnel nyo, na yung 1,200 ay dun lamang nakakonsentrate sa dalawang building kung saan siya tumagal, no, ng ilang mga araw. Yes, General.
I do believe that the term surrender and arrest is being debated upon. Well, I do believe that the camp of Mr. Quiboloy would like to model the issue on the term the surrender and arrested, because it has great bearing on the criminal case that they are facing, ma'am. So they can use the voluntary surrender term as part of their maybe their defense for and prayer for leniency and cite it as a mitigating circumstance. However, it is not the case, and it was never the case in this situation, ma'am.
Well, in any case po, General, tulad ng nagtiwala kami sa PNP na sa tulong ng ibang mga other units na nag-a-assist ay mapapasakamay nyo rin si Mr. Quiboloy, may tiwala rin ang komite ngayon sa Department of Justice na ma-handle alang-alang sa mga victim survivors at alang-alang sa ating bayan yung mga kaso ni Quiboloy. General, ang sabi niyo po ay may mga continuing crimes na nagaganap sa loob ng KOJC compound. At sabi niyo po na may mga iba pang mga biktima na gusto ng PNP pang sagipin. So, pwede po ba kayong mag-elaborate tungkol dito?
As of the moment, ma'am, we are partnering with the Department of Justice in building up other cases to be filed against Apollo Quiboloy and his cohorts, his companions. Last week, we have filed sedition and inciting to sedition charges against them through the Department of Justice and with the assistance of the special prosecutors assigned by the DOJ for this case. And there's still continuing build-up on the possible rescue of other people, because we had experienced the extensive brainwashing. Mr. Quiboloy had a head start of around 30 years against the law enforcement, and we are just scratching the top. And I do believe that as time goes by, as people see the fallacies of his declarations, more people and more victims will be having the courage, will summon the courage to actually seek for the redress that the law is ready to give them.
Maraming salamat para doon, General Torre. Yun din yung wish ng komiteng ito at napaka-importante yung sinabi nyo na may build up pa kayo para sa dagdag na possible rescues. Of course, mga adults din at lalong-lalo na siguro yung mga bata tulad nung anak ni Miss Jocelyn na buti na rescue na rin niya, no? At sa tulong din ng DSWD at saka DepEd. Lastly for now, mula sa akin, General Torre, sabi nyo po, may mga humarang sa inyo sa pag-aresto kay Quiboloy. Ito ba'y, halimbawa, kagaya ng paglalagay ng mga fire truck, iba pang sasakyan para harangin yung highway mismo sa labas ng compound. Ito ba'y mga KOJC members din? O meron ding mga opisyal ng gobyerno? Sa tingin nyo ba ay may involvement pati yung local government sa pagprotekta kay Quiboloy?
Well, on the direct evidence that we have right now, ma'am, we have seen members and non-members alike who had conspired to prevent us from serving the warrant of arrest for Quiboloy, or at the very least make it very, very difficult for us to actually do our job. And it's not for the persistence and faith of the my superiors and the people from the government, and also the cooperation and the blood, tears, and sacrifice of my men, we would not have achieved and overcome that the obstacles that they did to prevent us from achieving the mission. We had experienced roadblock after roadblocks, and in the pressures, especially considering that the compound is very large and the only coverage that we have there is the SMNI, to which we are actually asking YouTube to take down, considering that it's being used to protect a fugitive not only from the Philippines, but also a fugitive of the laws of the United States. So we're asking YouTube to actually take down the channel of SMNI and also Facebook for them to prevent from using those social media platforms as leverage for their illegal activities and criminal activities, basically. And at this juncture, ma'am, I would like to thank the Senate for giving us this chance to show to tell our story, the side of the story, hoping that this is a hearing in aid of legislation, and I do hope that legislation will really be passed to help us and again give leverage to the law enforcement, because I can really feel that in the 6-10-day operation we have reached the limits of the law, and we have really tested the limits of the law there, and I do believe that we still did everything within the bounds of the law, however difficult it may be. And I do believe that it's time that we also try to adjust the law in the hope that it will be more responsive to the needs of the time. Because if we only listen to all those telling us that, especially the lawyers of Apollo Quiboloy, telling us that we are doing things illegally because for 16 days we stay there without a search warrant, citing that the use of the warrant of arrest as basis of our search, and stay there in the compound, which I believe that they are wrong, really gave us this.
So much to learn about, it'll make you wanna shout, Whippy!
Woo! Isn't it cool how many things your body can do?
Very cool. Your body is pretty amazing, right? Yeah. Thanks for singing with us.
And dancing with us! Bye-bye!
See you, friends.
Woo! Come on, everyone, let's make learning fun. So much to learn about, it'll make you wanna shout, Whippy!
Sometimes this sense of doubting ourselves, especially that the propaganda day in and day out is hitting us left and right. And I do think that this opportunity comes, because if we don't adjust and make the law more responsive to the current times, it will create a situation where some people will be definitely beyond the reach of the law. Because if we are not that persistent, Mr. Quiboloy will still be out there laughing at us and just telling everything that things that he wants to say, because he will be out. He will be always out of the reach of the law. So thank you very much, ma'am, for giving us this opportunity to be part of the crafting of more responsive legislation, so that we can be better and more effective in our law enforcement and in the assistance and in the implementation of the processes of the laws of the land. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you also, General. And in fact, hindi lang ang Senado, pero iba pang mga institusyon at organisasyon ay nagpahayag ng suporta sa inyong law enforcement operation noong mga linggong iyon. Halimbawa, yung Integrated Bar of the Philippines, Davao. Kahit paglabas ng isang desisyon ng korte doon din sa Davao, inaffirm ng IBP Davao na valid pa rin yung operation ninyo in order to effectively serve the warrant. And yes, kahit tatlo lang kaming miyembro ng komite o ng Senado ay nakadalo ngayong mabagyong araw, pero lahat po kami, yung chair, si majority leader, si minority leader, ay may nakikita talagang halaga nitong pagdinig natin at yung mga partisipasyon ninyo na mga katrabaho namin sa gobyerno in aid of legislation. At may mga tinutukoy talagang mga lumang batas na baka kailangang amyendahan o mga bagong batas na kailangan nating ipasa. Lastly, General Torre, for now from the chair, ang CIDG po ba tumitingin na rin sa alleged killings na allegedly iniutos ni Quiboloy?
Yes, ma'am. Given the chance, we'll be presenting the results of our initial investigation for the past 1 month that I'm designated as head of the CIDG. I continued what I started in Region 11, and we are ready to present to this August body and to the public the link analysis and diagram that we had prepared with the accounting of the personalities, including the incidents, including those that were mentioned by the witnesses who spoke before me, ma'am.
I see. General, prepared ba kayo maghain ng ganitong kahit broad strokes kung ano yung pinaka-importanteng mga initial results ng inyong investigasyon nitong nakaraang buwan, pati yung link analysis, or ano ba yung maaari nyo nang at pwede nang ibahagi sa komite?
Yes, ma'am. We can show you just one slide, which is
Yes, sir. Please
the collection of, which is basically the simple result of our validation